So welcome back to Room 1-on-1 with the Homeboys. A bit different this week. This week I am delighted to welcome a former Celtic, Stenhousemuir, Queen of the South, Alloa player, and currently, interestingly enough, an opposition scout for an SPFL side, Brian McColligan. Well, Brian, how are you, pal?
I'm very well, Scott. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, despite Celtic depressing the fucking living God out of me.
It's not getting any better, is it? It'll take time.
Mate, I don't know, right? I'm refusing to let it break me. Like, see the Hearts game, I went off on a big rant on the pod, and he's shite. So I'm chilling out. We'll talk about Celtic a wee bit later on. Once we get through with your stuff, we'll certainly have a chat about Celtic, and I'd like to hear your opinion on stuff. But right, usually on these, I get my guests to sit and introduce themselves, and you tell us who you are and what you've done, right? But basically, this pod is going to do that for us, so we'll just get fucking hammered into it. Right, so you were part of the Celtic, you came through Celtic Boys Club, is that right?
Yes. So I started with Celtic North, so it was a team in Sight Hill, actually.
Right, yeah.
And from there, I moved to Mill United in Hamilton, which was quite a big move for me. And under 14, we went to Celtic Boys Club. And at that time, probably, we had a really strong team at Celtic. Guys like Jamie Smith, Big Barry John Coa, Joe Hayes, Stephen Craney, were all kicking about. Sort of, at that time, boys who went on to have good careers. With Celtic and other teams. So from there, then I sort of progressed into it's full time. Yeah.
So, like I said, we're going to talk about that journey. I mean, you're saying Celtic North. If people who age Celtic North were pretty big with regards to Celtic, there was a lot of progression for there. And then you're saying Mill United, a good friend of mine, he was coaching at Mill United, decent setup at Mill United as well. So decent standard there. So, see as you're growing up, right? What position were you playing at this point? I mean, ultimately you ended up at defensive midfielder, but at this point were you kind of everywhere?
I was more like this box-to-box midfielder when I was getting younger. I was left 50, so I played left mid, but I prefer to play centre mid.
Mm-hmm.
But as you probably know, being involved in football, if you're left-footed, the chances are you probably end up at left back because you can never get a left back. So I played in these sort of three positions. But see, when we were younger, you played loads of games. You were always playing, and obviously the academy structure is totally different now.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I was growing up, it was more about you trained with teams. So you'd be training with Celtic, or you'd be training with Hearts, or you'd be training with Dundee United from a very young age, because you could only sign with somebody when you were 14. Whereas just now, boys are signed in from when they're 10, and they're committed to that club.
Kind of off on a wee tangent right away then. So just what's your opinion on that? As somebody myself, kind of get a background, you know, I'm kind of helping out at youth football for the first time since I done under 20s. That was the lowest I went to. So now I'm doing proper Wayne football. And whilst my Wayne's never going to be touching any academy, do you know what I mean? I'm very interested in the structure, how it moves up. You see the goods, and you certainly see the fucking bads. But I just wonder, from you coming up and you've got your own boy involved in football, and you're seeing it from a football head, have you got a preference or not?
Well, it's funny because my boy just recently signed with Hamilton, so he's in part of the academy now. So I've sort of described my upbringing. So you would have trained with different teams. No, it'd have been. And on Monday nights, Hearts used to train up at Hamilton. It's up at Springburn Park.
Right.
Dundee United would train at Heron Vale. Celtic would be at Barrowfield. So you had a load of clubs training about Glasgow.
Was Aberdeen and Blantyre?
Blantyre. So you'd loads of through the Central Belt. But obviously what I would say now is the training that the boys get now for a very young age is fantastic. Like the where they train, all the balls, the bibs, the wee goals, the surfaces they train on, absolutely fantastic. The quality of training that the boys get from a very young age is fantastic. From 10, so I've seen it at Hamilton from my own eyes. I've seen a boy playing against different teams, they're a really high standard. The wee bit that I'm probably thinking about, what I sort of look back on, is when you were younger, when I was 10s, 11s, 12s. So I still remember playing in a Scottish Cup final when I was under 11s. It's with the boys club. And I think that's a wee bit, I wonder, are the boys missing out on that? No, I still talk to boys on Facebook that if we used to play against Hullwood, it's another massive boys club. The cracking team when we were younger. And we still talk and we still carry on about who was a better team. But we were talking about under 10s and under 11s. That's how that memory still sticks with you. That experience still sticks with you. And that's my only wee concern about the boys just now. So I don't know if their expectations, and I speak to Aidan quite a lot about it, I don't know if their expectations or experiences are just different now. And they just basically, the enjoyment and the fun they get is just for the training, the quality of training, the standard. They've got brand new balls, they've got all the same kit, they wear the strips, they're in the dressing room. It's all the wee things. It's just a different time. But that's a wee bit.
I've heard it say that all that sort of stuff isn't realistic. When, like, say, so I mean, we'll come through to this once we kind of get into your career and stuff like that. But I think the normal football fan is they think if you don't play in the Premier League, you're shit. And you kind of look at the level that they guys in the Premier League are playing, considering even to what you play at 5-a-sides, you know what I mean? And I think you've come up through this cracking academy, you've got all the, and then you get dropped into a fucking League One team, you know what I mean? And it's just, oh fuck, you know what I mean?
But see, to be fair, that's the same for every. So that doesn't matter if you're coming for academy or if you're coming for Celtic or Hamilton or Hibs, whoever it is. That first experience of dropping down to men's football where you need to win. There's pressure on you. There's fans getting you stick at the side of the park. Know that there's an expectation. That is just blows you away. And know everybody's ready for that. And that's that age group where in Scotland we've no seem to master it at all. We've no mastered that age group from about 17 to 19 where boys need to play games. And see all the good players in Scotland, all the ones that you look at, if you look at Celtic, for example, Scott Brown, you know, his career at Celtic was outstanding. But he played something like 50 to 75 games for Hibs. So he'd went through all the experiences, the peaks and the troughs. He'd played well in games and he'd played bad the next game, but he was back in. He was still playing every single week. If you look at Ryan Christie as well, I think he played something like 100 games for Cali Thistle. Then he played another, don't know, about 50 odd games for Aberdeen. Again, playing games, getting used to it, building your confidence. Then you come into Celtic and they've got that confidence. And it's the arrogance a wee bit to say, I can play here. Whereas sometimes when the boys at Celtic and that, when they play it, they go in, but good enough to play. I don't have any doubt just now that there's young boys at Celtic that are good enough to play, and across the board. But the bit that they maybe struggle with is when they don't play well, and it affects their confidence. They've no got the self-belief to go, I can go again. But if you look at the examples of Scott Brown and Ryan Christie, three guys would have won it. Obviously would have played no well in games for Hibs and Cali Thistle and Aberdeen. But we were right back in the next game. Whereas at Celtic, you don't get 2 and 3 chances. Do you know what I mean? You get maybe 1 chance or 2 chances max.
Which is totally wrong, isn't it? I mean, you even go back to Kennedy Dalglish when famously he said to Petrov, right, don't worry about it. I'm going to play you. You're going to play 15 games. You don't worry about them. Just you worry about you. And obviously, we paid a fucking shitload of money for him anyway, so there was expectations, but he went and grew in that time, didn't he?
But I was there when Petrov came in, and see when Petrov came in, like you could tell he was a good player, and it was box to box, but he just wasn't fit. He wasn't physically fit for the Scottish game, and that's another wee thing. You know, he came from a different league, a different country. I think when he came, obviously, I think he spoke about it himself. It didn't really settle, and his diet was out of sorts. He was eating out a burger van most things.
The famous burger van.
That's not going to. For somebody who always sort of carried a wee bit away, it's going to having burgers every night is not going to help you, is it?
Not going to help.
See, when I think where he benefited is where Petrov sort of benefited. He was breaking into the first team when Celtic weren't playing very well, and he was still a standout. So he was playing every week. That built his sort of self belief and his confidence again. So when Martin O'Neill comes in and he sort of surrounds him with better players, then he's like, I can play at this level. I can go. But there is definitely like, in Scotland, for that 17 to 19, we seem to lose a lot of boys.
But again, you say we lose a lot of boys, but see, to be honest, right, because we've not even talked about you yet, but from your group, right, as you said, you had a really strong group of boys, proven to the point that, remember the game, the following season against Hearts in the Cup, where they all come in and they battered them at Tynecastle, and we Stephen Craigie scored and all that. And I mean, just they had a fucking great game, and there was so many strong players in it. But then you look at the subsequent teams, even like the guys with the Strackings team, whilst they might not have made it Celtic in groups, they all went on to have fucking dinger careers in Scottish football. Do you know what I mean? Really, really good players.
I think a lot of the problem we have in Scotland is, you have to remember, we've only got 20 full-time clubs in Scotland. So you've got 12 in the Premier League, you've got 9 in the Championship, and there's 2 in the First Division. So what's that? 22, 23 full-time clubs. So who have all got academies that have got youth structures coming through. So there's only so many spaces. Whereas if you look down south, was it 72 full-time clubs have got, and even that's just in the league. If you look in the old Conference League, as they call it, they've got full-time clubs there. As
good as, if they aren't even. Yep.
Aye. There's loads of boys, but it's weird because when you look at it, especially Celtic, there's younger boys who will play, and they play against your Aberdeens, your Rangers and all that, through the 16s, the 18s, and they're for no winning trophies, they're getting to cup finals, they're still playing. They're playing against them, they're beating them, they're close in the league, they're top of the league. Then it gets to like 18s to 20s, and your Aberdeen boys and your Dundee United boys have maybe got 20 games under their belt.
Yeah.
The first team have 25 games, and Celtic boys have no. And it's not that they're any better, it's just that then they've got that self-confidence, that sort of, it's game management, knowing that when you're playing against somebody that's bigger than you and faster than you, right, it's what they do now.
Yeah.
So I do something different. Whereas, see, when you're playing 18s, you're playing against, it's the same boy who's the same age as you. You've probably played against for about 8 years. Then you 100%. Don't learn as much. And that's where the wee gap came with the reserve league. Because obviously everybody spoke about how the reserve league was so good for years. You know, I think we all remember about going to some reserve games at Parkhead or Ibrox. Yeah, jam-packed. You know, Celtic Rangers would play in a Sunday, in the Saturday game, you'd go to the reserves, it'd be brilliant. But you don't, I've not got that now. They're putting all the boys who they're playing in the B League against Spartans and Civil Strollers, and which is no probably benefiting the boys, and it's no benefiting the boys at league either who play for all the teams.
Yeah, the B teams thing, I don't know. I certainly got an opinion on it in terms of, I understand where Celtic know so much Rangers, because Rangers gave up on it because of the restrictions on it. But I understand why fucking Alaba and all that don't want the B team in. I get that. I understand. They're like, nah, fuck that. But then I understand why Celtic want to move them in, because Celtic need them playing at the highest level they can. We need to be getting these boys playing. But I mean, I was at the fans forum and they were saying what Celtic are doing now. See, at 19, 20, they're trying to get them loan deals to go and play regular football. And all the young boys all stay in the B team. So they're getting that coming up against Hardy clans. And people are saying, oh, Celtic B team are shite, they're getting beaten. You're kind of going, they're just young boys, man. They just need to learn.
They have to learn. But it's definitely that. Because it's when I was at Celtic, I went on loan. I went out on loan to Stenhousemuir. And honestly, it was a wake-up call for me. Because you were like, Jesus, right, this is... I was playing with all guy. I don't know if you remember the guy, Jimmy Sanderson, who used to play Regi. Right, serious old school, right? Sweeper. He would practically play on his edges box. So at that time, I was playing left wing back.
Did Jimmy Sanderson play with Airdrie for a long while?
Airdrie. So he was just at the edge. So he would play deep when he played with Airdrie. So this was him at the end of his career. So he was practically level with the goalkeeper at times. So you were doing the full shift, so it was actually the full length of the part you were having to run. And you couldn't say it back because they were just like, do it. Because there wasn't. But a lot of the boys were at Stenhousemuir at the time were really relying on their win bonus or appearance money. Now, it might only be maybe it's 50 quid appearance and it was 50 quid a win, but that's an extra 100 quid. If you do that 2 or 3 times a month, that's 300 quid. That's paying for their motor for a month. Do you know what I mean? So you couldn't, there was no halves given. I mean, you had to be on it 100% or you were getting it stinking off people. And that was my wake up call. I was like, Jesus, no, this is not something you get in the 21. And you would get stick at the 21s, don't get me wrong, with Celtic, or the manager would get it. Kenny McDowell would get to the boys stinking. He treated you as a team. At the 18s you would get it, but see when you were getting off your teammates, that's different. I mean, that's where it changes all of a sudden. You're like, okay, these guys really need to do this.
Aye, brilliant. Right, okay, we'll get back into that then, right. So you officially signed for Celtic in July of 1987. You signed a 2-year deal. What dough are we talking there at that point?
That was, it's £80 a month.
A month?
No, it's £80 a week plus £80 a week plus £20 travelling expenses. Then I think the second year it went up to £100 a week plus £20 travelling expenses.
Right, all right. Aye.
So it was like, right, yes.
I thought you were getting £20 a week. Yeah, I was like, fucking hell, man.
Like minimum wage.
Right, so in total you spent 4 seasons at the club. As I said, you played both youth and reserves with the team. So you touched on it earlier on. Who was in that team? Who was in the youth team? Who was in the reserve team? Who were the guys who were standing out? You mentioned a fella named there, Joe Hayes, was it Joe Hayes? And I mean, I would go so far and say a lot of people have never heard of the boy, and I hope he doesn't listen and get offended. But like so there was guys like Matt Forley, John Kennedy would have been the 2 big guys. I would have think Liam Miller. God, you must have played with Liam Miller.
They were all younger than me. So in my year, it was Stephen Craney,
right,
who went on to play in a cracking career in the Premiership with Blackpool.
England,
Jamie Smith played a good number of games with Celtic. Went on to have a cracking career with Aberdeen. It's Mark Burchell. Again, had a crank career. He probably should have stayed longer at Celtic. Probably they should have had a longer career, but then he got a big move down south. Then we sort of joined a group who were already in. Colin Healy was already in at the club, so he was a year older than me.
Aye.
So he was kicking on. He was doing really well. It's we Mark Forey and him came in the year below me. We Simon Lynch came in a year below me.
You'd have played with Brian Prunty as well, wouldn't you?
Aye, with Prunty. Prunty was in as well. He's a cracking player. Another, he's probably a good example of what we speak about. Prunty was a cracking player. He just didn't make it Celtic, but then went and had a cracking career.
He's a legend, didn't he, fuck's sake?
He scored a barrel of goals with Dumbarton as well. I think he still does something there. I don't know if he's he was doing the physio stuff and he was doing the sports stuff, and now he's got his own kind of one-on-ones and stuff, but he's still on the bench. Like he was, so I've went up a few times with him. Brian's a brilliant guy, speaks very highly of yourself, but and he's good for the football chat. Do you know what I mean? He'll give you some cracking stories, but so no, he's up there and he was on the bench when they got promotion. He was basically coaching the team because now McCabe and all that still playing. Aye, so that's right. Aye. So that's the boys who were in with me, and they went on to have good careers. But then there's loads of other boys like we guys like Joe Hayes. It's never played with Celtic in the first team, but then went down to the juniors, played with Cumnock, had good careers. Right. Was a good player. We guys who were older than me, JP Dow, Kevin Joyce, who were all cracking players. Then you had the older ones in the reserves. It's like JP McBride, Mark Anthony, who were exceptionally talented football players, like scary football players, brilliant. But just never break through.
I mean, John Paul McBride one, I mean, I've embarrassed myself a million times telling this story, but back before the internet and all that, we sold John Paul McBride to St Johnstone for 200 grand and bought Lubo the following week for 300 grand, and I went off my nut. I was like, fucking selling the youth and we're bringing old guys in. Fair to say I got that one right.
But you have to remember at that time, so when I went in full time in 97, so Tommy Burns had just got sacked. So that was the start of a 9-in-a-row season, or the 10-in-a-row season for Rangers. Right, so the pressure had been building year on year. So you can imagine there was no young boys even getting a look in at all, hardly getting a look in, because it was just all about the first team winning the league to Stoke, the 10. which was a mental time. Obviously, we all remember the parties and all that, and you all remember the street parties once we beat St Johnstone.
We remember the hindsight, the good party, but it was fucking a grind, man.
But us as youth boys were just like, you're in, you're playing at the weekend, you've got a bit of money, and you're in. Then you're going to Bonker's office party on a Friday afternoon. How good is life? Life can't get any better. I'll tell you a story, Scott. We used, obviously, when we were part of the youth team, you would still get jobs then. Obviously, that sort of changed. That's another thing that's sort of changed now.
Well, there you go. I did not know that. Mate. No.
You don't get that. So boys don't get jobs when they're in. So it used to be you'd be on, during the week, there'd be 3 or 4 of you on the boots, or during the week, somebody's be on the kit, and somebody's be based at Park Keed.
Sorry, he meant jobs within the... Right, okay. I thought you were talking about external jobs. Right, okay, no. I get you.
Sorry, no, talk about jobs as part of the club. But we don't do that now. See, the young boys that go in, we don't do jobs, sweeping up dressing room and picking up the kit and sorting the kit and all that. We don't do that. And that was a good grounding for us, because you had to go in and be respectful to your first team players. You had to go and get them what they wanted. And it went through generations. So a lot of the time I was on kit duty on match days. Because I stayed fairly close, a lot of the boys, if we played on a Friday afternoon with the youth team, a lot of the boys that stayed up north would go home for the weekend.
Yeah,
and me and a few of the boys would be on kit. So it was coming to build up to Christmas, maybe Christmas just after New Year. We're standing outside the dressing room. It's first team are playing up one. Saturday afternoon at Park Keed, we were just tidying up and doing stuff, and it was wee Regi, was it Celtic time, Regi Blinker. He's talking to one of the boys. It was me, it's wee Joe Hayes. I think Jamie Smith was there as well. And he's like, so what's happening tonight, boys? He's doing it, and we're like, no, not doing it. No, we're only 18, 19. He's like, his fans coming out with us. We're like, fucking brilliant. Aye, kid, aye. Right, so this is at the time when it was Archaos. So it was a Sky Bar in Archaos upstairs, right? So he's like, right, if you meet us outside Archaos at 11:30, right? So boys are all running home, getting the best of gear on and all that. Walking into town with our YSL shirts and our black trousers and our buckled shoes, right? I think we're looking like $1 million. So we're like, is he going to patch us? Is he even going to go out? We could be standing here like a pure muppet, right? Because there's no way we're going to get in, because we're standing out like a sore thumb with me. So then about 11:30, 11:45, this big Range Rover jumpsuit pulls up, and Regi jumps out. But he's with Henrik. I can't remember who else. I was 2 or 3 of them anyway. And we're shouted there, and he's like, right, come on. So we're into Archaos, we're upstairs in the Sky Bar, right? We're standing about like spares. We're all there, like Henrik and Regi and all the first team boys, right? We're standing like Muppets, not got a clue what to do. We're used to being in bonkers and stuff like that, not pure mayhem. We're in Archaos, it was a class above us, right? So everything, the 4 of us are sitting having a drink and that, just carrying on, get a tap on the shoulder, and it was Willie McStay, the youth team coach, right? Obviously he's with his wife. We're like, oh no, man. So he's like, all right, boys, how he's getting on and that, aye, no bad. And he was brand new, and we were like, all right, fine. So when we left, I think we ended up going to the tunnel or Bonkers or something. We went somewhere else, right? So we were like, oh, we're fine, we've got away with it, no bother. So we left, and it was a good laugh. We're like, oh, what story, can't believe we're out. And Henrik was there, and Regi and all that, was brilliant. And went in on a Monday morning. I've walked into the Barryfield, right? And wee Johnny has walked by me, and he's like, and I was like, what is it? He's like, well, he's looking for you. And I'm like, no, don't. And he's like, he wants to see you, so I had to go in. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're a fucking first team player. You've just started in here. Don't you dare go in. Oh, mate, my ears were ringing. I was like, oh, never again. Never again. Man. Then see the next 2 weeks later, when Regi's like, he's fancy going out, boys are like, no, we're not going out.
Go fuck yourself, Regi.
Go and do it yourself, I don't want to go. Oh, mother, man. But that's what we did. So that season was obviously a mental season. Like the stress on the players, like was massive that year. No, obviously, Vim just came in right at the start. Well, it was late when he came in, to be honest. I'm pretty sure the pre-season had started.
Eric Black started the pre-season, aye.
No. Eric didn't come in until the following year. I'm sure it was Murdo McLeod Murdo McLeod got brought in as a reserve team manager at that point, and it was
Eric Black? No, Eric Black was fucking hingy, so he was. Yeah, Eric Black was Dr. Joe. You're right.
Murdo was supposed to be. I'm sure Murdo got brought in as a reserve. So Murdo was in first, and he was supposed to be a reserve team manager. I'm sure. Then Vim came in, and obviously didn't have an assistant. Obviously, he's probably known Murdo for his time in Germany a wee bit maybe, and that's where it's became. If the two of them have been as manager and assistant, it's sort of go on. It's obviously changed history, didn't it? Thank God they did go on, and they were well. But obviously, we at the youth team, you were just playing in this. We used to play on a Friday or a Saturday morning, but you could see the standard of the boys that, like, talking about different boys that came in. I think the year after I joined, I think it was Big Jim Goodwin came in. Then it was Liam Muller came in, and a squad of the Irish boys, and the standard of the game was ridiculous. Liam was a fantastic player. His fitness was phenomenal. A fit boy. See, for somebody, because when he was younger, he had a lot of injuries when he was in at Celtic. It was still able to come back and just train to a really, really high standard. His fitness was ridiculous. And obviously Big Goody as well, who's doing really well in management. There was a few of the boys finally came here, and you were like, we've got a cracking team, a good setup. They done really well, but it just set the standard. And even though you were part of a season when you knew the club was under severe pressure, every single game they had to win, you were sort of part of your own wee bubble as part of the youth team. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You were your own wee bit, and when the first team didn't win, you felt it 100%. You felt it. No, everybody that works in it, everybody that works in the club, admins, PAs, whatever it is, when the first team don't win, they feel it. But then you go back into your own wee bubble and you just try to do well. And that first year when you're in the youths, you're not really looking at, right, so I'm going to get in the first team. It's too far away. When it's your first year, all you're really looking at is doing well, enjoying it, getting stronger, getting more physical, it's getting technically better, but you still understand that the club's under a severe P. Yeah,
and especially you'd know just as well as anybody with your family around you, do you know what I mean? Not going daft, you know what I mean? Your dad, God's sake.
Constantly getting asked for tickets. It came to a point I just stopped answering the phone. If people always asking you for tickets, I was like, I'm not going. No, I'm not there anymore. Don't speak to me about it, because it became a bigger thing, and because obviously the pressure was just mental at the time. There's a story about do you remember the second last game of the season when Celtic played Dunfermline?
Dunfermline, Craig Falkenberg.
So that was the game we should have won. Well, we should have won the league, and it went 1-0 up. Simon Donnelly scored, and I'm not sure if you remember. It was Old East End Park. The dressing rooms used to be sort of behind the dugouts. And you sort of walked upstairs, and there was no tunnel. Obviously, there was a tunnel down the corner, and we were on duty again that day. So we remember going through. We set up all the kit and all that stuff, so we were just hanging about. And there's fans turning up in limos and all that, and there was people out partying. Like 3 years before the game, they're like, the league's it's won, and it hadn't even started the game. And obviously, so Simon Donnelly scored. And I think was it Falkenbridge or something like that scored.
Falkenbridge. He was a Coventry,
aye. So then after the game, it's all done, and Simon Donnelly's one of the first ones in the dressing room, and he comes in the dressing room and then volleys the door right in anger, just pure frustration. Then on Monday morning, he's in the physio room. He had an ice pack on his foot. I think he actually chipped a bone on his foot or something. So he was pure iced up for the full week in the lead up to the game against St Johnstone in the final game of the season, just causing of pure anger. He's volleyed the door just anger. Next Monday morning, he got an ice pack on his foot. We're all like, you're regretting that now. You might miss out the biggest game in the history of the club. But that was just a mental time. That first year, we didn't win the league or anything like that at the youth team. We got put out in the quarters of the BP Cup. I think it was with Aberdeen. He did really strong. Again, he sort of go through different teams, but Aberdeen and Dundee United are really strong at that time.
At that point, Aberdeen were flinging regular young boys into their first team. You got your boy Buchan and all that caper.
Aye. And you had the two youngs that were Derek Young and Darren Young.
Derek and Darren for Mawai, aye. Couple of Huntons.
The boy Russell Duncan went in and played a few games. Boy Michael Hart. There was loads of boys went in and they played a lot of games.
Loads of good players, aye.
And that was at the time. I think it was an under-21 league at that point, but it was an under-21 league. It was on a Monday night. And you were allowed to play, I think it was like 3 or 4 as overage players. So usually if the boys the first team boys didn't play on a Saturday, we'd go and play on the Monday night. Obviously, they absolutely hated that.
Did we get shot of the reserve league and we brought that in? And then I think we were like fucking 2 or 3 years down the line, they were like, right, get reserves back again. This isn't working.
It's not working. But that first year in Celtic was just that. Obviously, it was a pure dream to go and sign me. The club, I was a fan all my life. All my family's been fan. I stay in the city. To be honest, I think when I was younger, it was coming down to me and Hart, between Celtic and Hearts. I was trained with Hearts since I was 10, because obviously they trained up at Springburn Park, and I was getting closer and closer, and I was coming to 13, 14, and a few of the boys had signed with Celtic, like Smitty and all that had signed, and Craney and Birchie and all that had signed, and I was probably later. I was one of the later ones, and it came to I was humming and hawing. Hearts wanted to sign me, and I went in with my dad to speak to Celtic, and they told me what it was going to be. It was just a schoolboys form. They're like, "You want to sign? We want to sort of shape the boys now. We want to get all the boys together for a couple of years to build them so they can go in full time." And I left, and I was like, "I'm going to sign." My dad's like, "If your Heart's rolling your heat here in it," and I'm signing 100%. I'm signing. That's it. And as soon as I left there, I was like, "I'm going to sign." Whereas on the build up to it, as my head was telling me Hearts, but as soon as I went in there, my heart just went like, "No, I can't knock it. You can't know."
Nobody's going to blame you for that, kid. Nobody's going to blame you for that. So who'd have been the Hearts then? Jim Jeffries would have been the top banana at that point, if I'm right. Who would have been? Would have been anybody we would know who would have done the youth team or reserve team or something?
Who was so a year above me at Hearts was Gary Mason. You know Gary Mason that played with them Fairmont and Man City.
Gary Mason, yep, setting him out, wasn't it?
Aye, it's Gary Naismith as well. Sweet boy Chris O'Neill scored a few goals for Hearts first team.
I remember Chris O'Neill.
We centre forward. They had a couple of years above me because I went to the. I'm not sure if you've heard it. It's called I called it the Milk Cup back in. It's called something different now.
I remember the Milk Cup back years ago. Played Northern Ireland.
I played Northern Ireland. I went earlier with Hearts. I was under 13, and I went earlier with under 14s. But like the under 16s has like Scott Severin. Who went on to play with Aberdeen and all that. So they had a decent record of putting boys through. But at that time there was loads of good boys across Celtic, Hearts, Dundee United, Aberdeen had loads of boys and they were all getting first team chances. I sort of feel now it's not as much. I'm not sure if it's not as close. I don't see as many names. And I don't know if that's something that's going to change. It's quite interesting if you look at the transfer window now. It's like Celtic sort of get rid of all the boys who are not going to play in the first team, or the boys that are brought in over, they're sort of trying to clear the decks, and it's part of me's hoping then that some of the boys, some of the younger boys can start to get some game time in amongst the first team, but I'm not sure that I think it'll be populated with more signings, hopefully.
Well, honestly, mate, I know we're kind of going on a tangent again here, but I was talking about it in the pod. I mean, you've been involved in football a long time. See if you've got too many bodies, you can't build relationship with players. You can't build that trust with players. And you end up getting to a point, as soon as he doesn't play well, you go to him. And then if he doesn't play, you go to him. And then you've got a different bench every week. You don't build a team. So it can be like David getting shot at just a whole... It's going to be an unpopular opinion, but we're maybe best just getting shot at a lot of guys. Maybe bringing 1, 2 in. As you say, using VAR and stuff like that. But again, fuck knows.
No. And I think, see the challenge that you have with a lot of these, when the squad's that big, there'll be at least 10 of the boys who are not happy, or 10 of the players that are not happy. Yeah. So they're in a negative sort of mindset, or maybe they're slumping about when they're going about the place or not happy. And that has a knock-on effect to the boys who are playing. So they're like that, you're feeling a bit guilty, you're like, I'm scared to talk to him because he's just going to moan about the club. So it can cause you problems, 100%. But it's a difficult time for them now, but we sort of have to get through this wee time, don't we?
Yeah,
and try and clear the decks. Right,
so the following year, John Barnes comes in, a whole plethora.
Oh, no, you missed some. No, you missed Dr. Joe. So it was them.
Fucking it. I just spoke about him. That's how I've kind of missed him out. Right, so we get Dr. Joe's season come in and Eric Black come in. That was somewhere.
I was here 4 years and there was 4 different first team managers.
So,
that's a record probably.
Great shout, aye. Christ almighty, aye. Aye, so Dr. Joe comes in the following year after Wim decides, does a job and fucks off. Let me think. Dr. Joe was a bit... Dr. Joe came in late. Dr. Joe brought in my big pal Vidar. He brought in Mark Viduka. So, but at this point, you'd have still been playing reserve football at this point, aye? You'd have still been kind of meeting your edgeways.
I'm still in the under-18s at that point. And
still under-18s, okay.
We had a good year that year because I think we won the league and I think we won the BP Cup or the Youth Cup as we won the second year. So we had a good team and again, you're focused, but the club wasn't right. Under Dr. Joe just wasn't right. Obviously,
and especially the fact that the Huns have brought in Dick Advocate and he's spending millions. He's blowing us out the water, aye.
He's going for it. But then in my third year, I moved into it was under 21s at that point, under Kenny McDowell, and that's when Barnes and that comes in.
Yeah.
So it was Barnes, Dalglish, and Terry McDermott was in.
Terry McDermott, social convener.
Social convener, aye. What a job to have. You could tell there was a lot of rumblings about the club in terms of, I think it was a bit of some dispute about bonuses or something at the time with the first team. I remember they just won it. It wasn't a settled place. It wasn't a settled first team. But then Barnes and that came, obviously, so that was the start of your third year. And I know we'll speak about it's my one competitive game that I played. But actually, see, which was at the end of the John Barnes year. But see, at the start of the John Barnes year, we played, it was at the time, I think Craig Burley was maybe, he was injured, he was come back from injury. But I think he'd fell out with the club. I'm not sure what had happened. Or he was trying to get away. I think eventually, a couple of weeks later, he did get away. So the 21s were going on a tour of the Highlands or something. So we went up to play Huntly. I think it was, right? We were up playing at Huntly. I'm not sure if you remember at that time. Barnes brought in like a new formation. But he wanted to play, it was like, aye, so it was like a back four with 2 sitters and your 2 wide men would tuck in and sort of play as a number 10, as you would call it now. Then you had 2 up front and your fullbacks would just go all the time. So it meant you always had your 2 centre halves and your 2 centre mids sort of sitting. So we went up to Huntly to play with the under-21s and I played in the middle of the park with Craig Burley, which was brilliant for me. I think it was just playing. It was all youth boys. And we're trying to get used to this system. I quite liked the system, but you could tell a lot of the boys weren't sure about it because there was no white players. Because the white players were coming in the park, and it just seemed a bit odd, a bit new to us. But I enjoyed it anyway. So I played with Burley. So we came back down the road. So then I think we were going to Ireland. We were going to play. I think it was Cork. Was it Cork and Waterford maybe? We were going to Ireland to play.
The youth team or the first team?
No, every 21s. If the reserves are going to, so we're going to, so we've got the boat here and we're driving down. So we stop. So this is maybe a week or 2 weeks after we played up at Huntly. So we stop at some wee cafe or something, and we're all in this wee cafe getting a bite to eat. And Kenny McDowell's the under 21 manager at the time. Kenny's like, Collie, we can have a word. And I'm like, no, it's I knew Kenny for like, because I knew a lot of people for Postal and that who I knew. And I used to see him getting skiing tickets to people, and I'm like, how do you know them? He's like, more importantly, how do you know them? And I was like, I come from that area, I know them. So he's pulled me and he's like, it's Collie, you have to stay here, and you're going to get a taxi, and it's going to take you to Dublin. And I'm like, Kenny, fuck off. So I'm shite, I'm not getting it. And he's like, no, are you playing with the first team tomorrow night? And I was like, what? And the first team were playing Bray Wanderers.
Bray Wanderers, yeah.
Right? So I was like, he's like, no. He says, let's go and get your bag, sit here. And he says, a taxi will pick you up. I was like, right, no problem. So the buses went away and the boys are all laughing. The boys are like, good luck. Right? So I'm sitting in this wee sort of cafe in the middle of, it's out in the countryside, I'm just sitting there. Okay, 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by. And I've not got a mobile at the time. And I'm like, oh no, I've been stitched an absolute peach here. I've been done an absolute kipper, right? Next minute, this old motor pulls up, and I'm like, Brian. And I'm like, aye. He's like, right, come on in, I have to take you to this hotel, right? And I'm like, right. So I'm shiting myself in the back of this motor. I'm like, I've jumped into a motor, a guy I don't know. There's no club badge or anything like that, right? There's no nothing, right? So but I've got my Celtic trackie on the back. I could end up anywhere here. I could end up in the field. The boys are all waving at me going, you've no chance of doing anything. So he drives me off at this hotel in Dublin, right? I walk into this hotel, and the first team are not there, right? So I'm like, what the fuck do you do? So I'm going to reception and I'm trying to check in, and they're like, no, we've not got your name down. And I'm like, I'm stuck. I was like, how am I going to get him? I'm thinking, right, I'm going to phone my ma and dad. I'll get somebody to drive there. Right, I'm thinking about how I can get it. But then the first team turned up, and I'm like to wee John Clark. It's Clark, I've not got a room. I'm supposed to be staying. He's like, right, don't worry, we'll sort it. It's right, we'll sort it. You were a late call up, don't worry about it. I says, right, no problem. And what had happened, I think somebody pulled out injured on the day of it. So what they wanted to do is play a full starting 11 in the first half, and a full starting 11 in the second half. So then I went and played in the first half with Craig Burley again in the Midway Park. So it just shows you wee things that you play well with somebody, and all of a sudden you've got a wee opportunity. But then you go for a high. So you've played this game. I'm absolutely buzzing. Right, there's a couple of thousand Celtic fans. Place is absolute jumping. I think Celtic were going. I
mind the game because they wore green and white and they'd NTL. I think Kennedy Gleeson sorted them out or something like that. I remember it.
So it was a full chain. So you go for a pure high, like you're buzzing. You you're in the dressing room, place is packed. You can't get anywhere near. It's not as if you could just walk outside, because if there's hundreds of fans jumping on you, everyone they really jumping on me because they were like, who the fuck's that wee guy? I don't know who that is. What's he doing? So then we leave the ground, and wee Birchie was playing at the time. He's like, mate, by the way, you've got a wee chance of getting into the squad for going for pre-season, because I think we were leaving like the day after or 2 days later. We'll go to Portugal, and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, that'd be brilliant. No, what a chance, blah blah blah. So I stayed there, and the next morning, Clark is like, all right, Colin, you used to get another taxi. You're getting another taxi.
Back to you when he came.
I'm like, oh. But we went and played Cork, and it was one of the best games I've ever played with Celtic. We played Cork with under 21s, and Cork were a Southern Ireland sort of a Premier League side at the time. They were a decent side. And we gave them an absolute doing. It's the best game I'd played, and my confidence was just through the roof. It was sky high, but that's what football is. You just go for it, and that's when you try to speak to people about football and all that. What's it like? And you're like, it's the best sport in the world, but my God, you're up and doing on a weekly, daily basis. You can go for one. It's the same as a supporter, as a fan. You're like that. It's Saturday to Saturday. You're up one week and you're doing the next. He's a player. It's like a daily basis, because you can have a stinker on the Monday, and you're like, shit, I'm not playing on Tuesday. Then the guy who's coming in for you has had a pure worldie, and you're like, oh no, you're way doing again. But that game, it was the best game I'd ever played. So that was at the start of that season. But then I didn't go anywhere near the first team after that. It's obviously I thought I'd done well, but I couldn't have done that well. And I was nowhere near the first team until the end of the season, when obviously Barnes had been sacked. I think he got sacked in was that the February or March or something? No, it was after the Cali game, wasn't it? It was after the Cali.
No, it wasn't after the. Was it after the Cali game? It must have been. So we get beat off of Hearts. We were 2-0 up. We get beat off of Hearts on the Saturday, and then we played Cali and rearranged, and they fucked us out, and then he was out in his arse, and Douglas took over. That's right. So at that point, right, you're saying that you've had in your head a good you've played with the first team in a friendly, you've been back, you've hit the ground running, and then you're nowhere near. Were you no training with the first team at any point? No. Were you totally away from them? Right, okay.
Totally away from them. So I know some boys at different times would go up and train, and it's maybe just the way it worked. Maybe my performance is dropped, and I wasn't recognised.
How did the season go for you, as you remember?
The season went all right. I played a few games under Kent. It's me and Kenny McDowell had a wee bit. I don't know. I always felt as if it was a fractured relationship. I sort of felt. I'm not sure how he would feel about it now. I just felt as if it was. Instead of go on it, I'm not sure if he expected more of me, or but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's because the two sort of knew each other for years ago. I'm not 100% sure. But I was playing games with the 21s, and I was getting frustrated because I wasn't. Obviously, you're trying to play in the 21 side now. It's at the time you're getting frustrated because you're not playing. But see, when you look back, you were competing with wee guys like Liam Muller, Colin Healy, wee guy Michael Doyle, who never played in the first team at Celtic. Wee guy for Dublin.
I remember him.
Wee Mark Foderingham was kicking about then. So you're playing with right good players. No, you're trying to get in front of right good players. And I think, obviously, I was getting shifted out wide all the time, and I was like, I sort of didn't want to play it wide. Now, when I look back, I should have probably had a better attitude to go, I'll just play it wide, or I'll go and play left back and try and. But even at left back, you'd wee Stephen Craney, who was a fantastic left back, one of the best strikers I've seen. Beautiful left peg.
The frustration for Craney, in my opinion, was Martin O'Neill never played left backs until he shifted him. And he was a perfect foil for Celtic. He could have been Celtic left back for years, man. He was a great player. But there's. But no, that's interesting what you say about them. I listened to a podcast a good while ago. Was it that Carvalho used to manage Sheffield Wednesday in Birmingham and stuff, and he was talking about Bellingham. He gave Bellingham the go, and what he said was, generally with coaches, what we do is, young guys, we put them wide, especially left-footed, like you said. We put them wide because the middle of the pitch, we need to win it. And he says, if you're good out wide, we move you back in the middle and we see how you go. And he just cracked it. He says, you were 2 games in, you're like, stick him in there, and he just went that way. And as you say, it takes a good attitude to kind of go, right, do you know what? I'm going to be the best at this bit so that they kind of, but as you say, we're all young guys and we think we know the fucking world, don't we?
I think you know everything. If only you could turn back a clock, it'd be so much easier, wouldn't it? But that was, I think the bit that I always struggled with was I always lacked pace. I didn't have a lot of pace. I was good on the ball and I could go box to box, and I was no bad scoring goals, but I lacked pace. And if you play in that wide area, you sort of need that wee couple of yards.
Of course you do, yeah.
Need that wee couple of
yards. Well, Palmer's proving you wrong, but that'll be.
He just cuts back inside. He doesn't bother to beat somebody.
Just pass to the ball back, be fine.
Easy. So that's where. So obviously I wasn't anywhere near it, really.
Okay.
But it was weird because obviously we were. So the 21s. So this is my 3rd year now, right? So played with the first team at the start in the friendly, and you were playing on a Monday night. So you would be in Monday or Tuesday to Friday. You'd be off on a Saturday because the first team we were playing. You'd be in the Sunday morning, then you play in the Monday night. And usually you'd get 2 or 3 of the first team boys doing playing, and they hated it because obviously they wanted to play Saturday. It's just this. It's that pure up and the highs and lows of football. So, but we would have like as Kenny Dalglish training with us on a Sunday morning, and it was brilliant. And Tommy Burns, right? So they're turning up because on a Sunday morning you would maybe do a bit of shape, or as Kenny McDowell would do his shape. You would do like a wee passing drill when you go into games and. You'd have Kenny Dalglish and Tam Burns turning up and playing, and they were pure brilliant as well. Like, pure, you can't get near them. You've got to close them down, and they're flicking balls around the corner. They're making a fool of you, scoring goal. You're like, what? Your confidence is like that when you leave. You're like, that guy's 50 and he's absolutely kippered. But now when you look back, you're like, what an experience. That was ridiculous. Like, you're playing with guys of that quality, but they were obviously quite invested. When Tam Burns came in, he was invested in the youth, and obviously part of Kenny's role at the time was to oversee the youth set up as well as the first team. I think it was a director of football title was, wasn't it? So then they were there, so you'd play on the Monday night and you were just like, fuck, unbelievable. But then obviously they moved up to the first team, and this, obviously I think they won the League Cup that year, didn't they? That's when your man Vidar scored.
Thanks Vidar and Tommy Johnson, 2 Celtic heroes there.
Legends of the game. To be fair to Tommy Johnson, he was a cracking guy. You can imagine just with the video, but see about the ground and all that, brilliant. Him and like Stubbsy.
Right.
Cracking character.
You've took me a lovely tangent there. Before we go and talk about the game, right? So you said you've no trained with the first team, but interesting enough, you've played with a fair amount of the first team. You've been in and around them, helping out and stuff like that in your youth team. Tell us drop me a couple of names. Who impresses people? Who impresses players? Who were hopeless? Who were bombs? Well, obviously the bombs. Don't worry about it.
I can't go with bombs. The one that impressed me, obviously, like Henrik was just quality. You could tell as soon as he came in, he just had. When you talk about that self-confidence, he had that self-confidence. If he missed a chance, he sort of knew he'd score the next one. Like it without saying it, and I think it was that sort of Swedish mentality. He was very calm, very very sure of himself, cool. In terms of the Scottish ones, it was Paul Lambert. Lambert was just brilliant. I loved him absolutely. And when he came in, he was obviously he wasn't massively built. Paul Lambert, he's probably height for me, probably 5'10", 5'11". He was quite thin, and he was just doing stuff. He was doing like exercises that obviously it was pure coached into him at Dortmund. He was doing exercises about his core, just working on his core, and all the rest of the players are in doing weights, trying to pump iron to get pecs and get six packs. Or he's working on his leg base, and he's like, that's all we done in Dortmund. It's just to make sure that your core was as strong as possible. But see, when you played beside him, he was just brilliant. He could pass anybody. See, if you were under pressure and you try to put anything in him, he could take it, he would calm it, he would talk to you. He was just a great influence in the club. I actually felt that signing was probably one of the most underrated signings of that time, if you think about it, because that was the time we sort of brought in quite a lot of Scottish players. There was Dan Jackson came in, sort of Craig Burley and all that came in, and you had with Simon Donnelly, Jackie McNamara, we were all playing. Paul Lambert was a pure catalyst because I think he walked into the dressing room as a Champions League winner, but he was brilliant about the place. He spoke to everybody. He spoke to the wee laundry woman Angie. He was best of pals with her. He would speak to you. And a Sunday morning, there was a period I was injured. I'd done my knee, and it was a time when he used to come in every Sunday morning, and him and Vim would sit and talk about the German scores or the scores in France for the day before, and he would just talk about European football. He just loved football, but he would just speak. He would sit and talk. Like if you were sitting there, he would just keep speaking. He wouldn't sort of shepherd you away or anything like that. He was just a good guy, you know what I mean? And I think he's what an influence for me he had in the club, because you think when he first came in, obviously he won the league with them, and he was still there. And if you think how well he done,
what he done with O'Neill,
it's under Martin O'Neill, he sort of kicked on again, and obviously got to Seville and stuff like that. So they're the two ones that probably stood out. I always liked Craig Burley as well. Burley was a good guy, but guys like Tommy Johnson, it was a good dressing room, to be fair. The first team had Tommy Johnson, Alan Stubbs, all big characters. Obviously Regi and that were just they had a cracking character, but their priority wasn't always Celtic. It wasn't always playing on the Saturday. You'd see him some Tuesday and some Wednesday mornings. It used to be, because it was a Tuesday night out. If I were ever in training or getting treatment on a Wednesday morning, it wasn't a pretty sight seeing a few of the boys coming in. Because to be fair, if they were old school, they used to socialise quite a lot together on the Tuesdays and trash and all that. So they were probably the ones for me. Big guys like Simon Donnelly and Jackie McNamara were quite reserved. They sort of kept themselves. But they're still good people. Obviously, Tosh McKinley was just at the point of leaving the club it was the end of him. He sort of left. Stan Boyd was always good with players, always good with younger ones. Big Mars. So there wasn't a lot of wahoos, to be fair. Some of the foreign boys like Regi, I think he's been well documented. He was out partying quite a lot, wasn't he? I think he loved the tune more than what he loved at the football park. But for me, Lambo was brilliant. He's just a quality guy. And you just looked at him, you're like, oh my God, you won the Champions League. And you're like,
what are you doing for about here? You know what I mean?
I know. And you always, because you see the people and you just put them on a pedestal and you think they're going to be 6'5" and built like that, and drive 10 motors but he was just a normal guy, and you're like, fucking brilliant, man. And it sort of gave you hope to go, actually, if I keep digging in, you never know. Obviously, it never happens, but it gave you hope at the time. But as for me, at that time, that was probably the one that probably
Right,
most.
I've got a special request to ask you about this guy.
I knew this was going to come up.
It's from a friend of yours, and also from a friend. Let's talk about big Raphael. Let's talk about the big man. Come on.
Hey, I'll tell you. So what happened was, see that scenario I was talking about. You were training a Sunday morning. Sometimes the first team boys would be told to train with you in the Sunday morning as well, right? Sometimes they would patch it, but then you would play on the Monday. So it was a time. It must have been under. Who's under then?
Well, I think he signed him, didn't he?
So it was near the end of that season.
Yeah.
Because Barnes wasn't there. I think it was near the end of that season. And obviously
I'm pretty sure Barnes signed him and then ended up getting the sack soon after, did you know?
So obviously he wasn't happy that he wasn't playing the first team. He took a bit of stick. He was having to train with us on a Sunday morning, right? So we're training, and see, be fair, the training, like Kenny's training was hard, and he would tell you, no, it's full belt. No, there wasn't, as I said, there was no halves given. You were writing about it. I was always quite strong. I was going for tackles and stuff. There's loads of different stories about it. If the juniors where I would dive into tackles and stuff like that. I would go and try and win it. I would usually apologise as soon as I'd done it, then try and run away and get the big boys to go and fight. But I'm not sure about the exact incident, but I think there was an incident with me and Schiedt, with Raphael. He ended up getting half injured, and he went away. So we just carried on training as normal. Then obviously we found out he got quite a bad injury. Ended up he went out.
You ruined the boy's career.
Oh, I'm not 100% if it was me. So I'm not taking full blame of this, by the way. I don't want to get any lawsuits coming from Brazil to me because of this. But supposedly that's what happened. I think the reason there was whispers when he went back to the park, and I think he said he got injured with one of the young boys. And I think it was just a challenge in a game, and I think I don't know if I'd any ball or something. I can't remember the exact challenge. I'm not sure about the exact challenge, but so then our mutual friend who spoke to me about this for years upon years and slaughtered me at every occasion, telling me how I ruined one of the best Celtic centre halves ever been. To be fair, it wasn't that good. Let's be serious.
I mean, the point, I think I looked at it right. So basically on your podcast, Jason is always when often one when people say he's one of the worst players to ever play for Celtic, because he says the boy only played 6 games. So how can you judge him as one of the worst? I think obviously the fact he cost £5 million and fucking Martin O'Neill ripped him apart, didn't I mean? Martin O'Neill didn't leave him a fucking heart. So from your experience, was he the worst player to play for Celtic?
I would say he wasn't a centre half.
No,
he wasn't a centre half. No, for this league. No, technically he was good on the ball, a good passer. Obviously, he's a Brazilian. He could trap a ball from anywhere, but he just didn't have the
urgency.
See the bit where you play. See if you look at any of the players, the centre halves just know you sort of need that physical presence to go and win the ball, to go and compete. But then you also have to have that element of calmness, sort of take the ball down and pass it and make the simple passes. He probably had that element of calmness, but he didn't have that bit about, right, I'll go and compete and I'll go win, I'll go and fight and I'll go and be really aggressive. He didn't have that bit about him, where he sort of wanted to play as a sweeper. He would want to play maybe
keep everybody away from me.
And I'll step out and I'll play. That's not the game. You can't do that in Scottish football. And you can't get in it. So any British football at all now.
No.
You sort of your centre halves have to compete and go and win and be aggressive, but you also have to be able to play.
Definite. It's funny. Tim Vickery famously said he was going to be a great signing for Celtic, and then obviously it didn't work out. And he actually went back to Brazil and won I think he won a league title or something.
I'm sure he did.
But what somebody would say to me is, seeing Brazil at that point, they didn't press. The forwards didn't press. So, like you said, he was strolling out and pinging a ball. Do you know what I mean? And that all kind of ties in. So the debate rumbles on, right? So let's get to it, right? So let's get to it. Right, so 21st of May 2000, Celtic Park. Ken Dalglish, who had made some mad decisions during that spell, made the mentalist and handed you and 4 other reserve players their Celtic debuts. And a team that also had John Kennedy making his 5th appearance, Mark Fotheringham, Simon Lynch both in their 2nd, you, Jim Goodwin, Ryan McCann, all starting with John Convery and Lee Miller coming off the bench. So 2-0 win, goals to Simon Lynch, Mark Burchell. It's best remembered, obviously, as Henrik Larsson's come back from the leg break early in that season. So it's funny that you've already touched on it. The question I've got was basically, how was it playing in front and on the pitch for your team in the hoops? And then I've actually put playing beside Paul Lambert. Wow. So you've already kind of touched on that. Do you know what I mean? So
it was a mental experience, to be perfectly honest, because obviously if you think about it, if you dream about it and say, right, I'm going to go and play with Celtic, you'd expect to play with about 9 first-team players.
Yeah, aye.
I was playing with, I think it was Jonathan Gould, Berkovic, Paul Lambert, and Mjallby were the first-team boys, and the rest is were all boys who'd played that season, but I'd played with them at youths in 21, so we all knew each other. So it was just, so in that sense, it was really normal. The bit that's totally, it doesn't freak you out, but then you go, Jesus, this at Celtic. See when you turn up at the ground, and you've played at Celtic Park before. I played at Celtic Park before for the youth team in the 21s, and you turn up and there's nobody there. See when you turn up, and it's a first team game, there's a couple of thousand fans outside the ground. See when you walk into the ground, the place is heaving, the place is buzzing. There's hospitality, there's people walking about, there's security. That's when you go, fuck man, I'm actually here. I'm actually doing this. You go into the dressing room, the strips are all laid out, everything's up, everything's already done. You can see Dundee United arriving, you can hear the tannoy outside the ground. You can hear them doing the security checks outside all these stupid things like that. You walk out to the park and all the stewards are there, there's fans already in, they're asking for your autograph, and you're like, right, this is getting serious. I don't know how to do an autograph. This is getting serious. Aye, this is getting serious now. But before the game, obviously we were all standing about. So the day before it, I think I went up and trained with the first team only in the Thursday, maybe. No, Friday it would have been. I think it was a Friday. Because I think we Craney get injured. So we Craney get injured on the Thursday. I went up and trained on the Friday. And Craney's like me. So obviously I've known B. Stevens since, I played against him since I was 10. Right? That's how long we've known each other. He's like, it's Collie, I'm struggling for Sunday. And I was like, oh, aye, right. He's like, so you're going to play left back? I'm like, fuck. And he's like, no, it's only you that can play left back. It has to be you. I'm not. And I'm like, are you sure you're going to be fit or no fit? And he's like, no, I'm struggling, mate. He said, I'm honestly struggling. So when we shaped up on the Saturday, we've done a wee bit of shape. So it was a sort of defence versus attack. And obviously, Henrik is a sub. So Henrik then is playing as a forward against the back four. So then you've got Goody, Big Kennedy, and Mjallby and myself are playing against Henrik and somebody else. I'm like, fuck it. I'm trying to get close to him. He's taking me in short. He's spinning in behind. I'm just trying to hold on to him, just trying to get a grip of him. Again, you sort of leave the training ground and you're like, oh, confidence is absolutely shattered. I've got the biggest game of my life tomorrow. Just got an absolute doing up, Henrik. So that was on the Saturday. So I left there on the Saturday. I went home. I said to my dad, I actually think I'm playing tomorrow. And he's like, what? I said, I think I'm playing tomorrow. He's like, what do you mean? I says, well, I trained with the first team on the Friday. He's like, when? I says, Friday there. I says, I trained today. He's like, you fucking told me. I says, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what was happening. And so then it's a pure frantic. He's trying to get tickets. I was like, right, I've got 2 comps. I'll leave you 2 comps and like phoning uncles and all that. Right, if you get tickets, it's Brian thinks he's playing tomorrow, and I'm thinking, it's what happens if I turn up here tomorrow and I'm not playing. I'll be Craney spit, right? I've made an absolute arse of this. So when you turn up at the game and I spoke about, once you walk in, then you start to get the feeling for it. And like me and a lot of younger boys are all just talking about themselves, and that's when Lambo's there talking to us, and he's like, don't worry about it, boys. He's like, you know what I mean? It's what can possibly go wrong We've got Gouldy in goals anyway. He'll probably sell about 2 goals. He's like, so take the pressure, right half, he's not. Don't worry about that. But he was brilliant. But the best bit about it was, so you're in the dressing room, and the first team boys usually get rubs and straps and all the different things. But all the younger boys are like, you'll get a quick rub or something, but you're like this. So you're sitting there at 10 past or something like that, right? So obviously you've been to loads of Celtic games, thousands. And Celtic at Parkhead, they always come out at the same time, roughly. It's always for a warm-up. They always come out 25 past or something like that, 20 past, and they always come out as a team. So we're sitting about and you're just kicking the ball about the dressing room, pure nervous and all that. And Tam Burns is like that. Right, it's going out for a warm-up. And we're like, it's only 10 past. And he said to Lambert, it's like, you just come out at your normal time. But all the young ones, all the ones that make their debuts, it's going out for a warm-up now and go and enjoy it. And go to every single part of your half and go and kick the ball about. And go and wave at people and go and see people and smile at people. And we were all like that. And he took us out. And we were out, we must have been out for about a warm-up for about 45 minutes or something. What cramp. And he would do, like, he took us away. Took us into the corner, he'd ping a ball into the corner, he'd ping it back, and we'd go to the halfway line, you'd do something, and you'd move to the other bit of the halfway line, and down to the other corner, and do it in the middle. Then you started the warm-up. So just that wee sort of, I mean, he could totally understand what we were going through, and he was like, "I go and enjoy this, boys, because there's a good chance it's going to be your last one." And he never said that. He would never ever say that. But he knew when you look back, I go, "Thank God he done that," because it was just it was a beautiful gesture, and you were out, and it means you could you could look about and take in the surroundings a wee bit for 10-15 minutes and go, "Fucking man."
Whereas if you came out with the first team, your intent straight away is, I've got to do everything right, so these cunts are fucking, so they cannot trust me. That's excellent. What a foresight that is.
But so just taking you in, you're walking about and you're going, my cousin sits there, my cousin sits there, my uncle sits there, my pals are sitting there, and you're not just walking about and you're just like, fuck it, it's what an occasion. Then you start to warm up and you're like, it's heat on the game. The actual game, see when the game starts, and I know you hear this loads and loads of times, it just passes you by. And it's just a game. You're just playing in a normal game. It's only when it's like, see if there's a break in the game or somebody's doing injured, and you sort of look up to that north stand and you go,
right, yeah.
Scary Mary up there.
It's mega interesting. You see that the game does pass you by, because I dare say you've got the nerves kicking in for the first 5 minutes or so, but first couple of passes you must be just back into your flow. You've played a million games. Do you know what I mean?
See if you watch your game back, I think my first 10 passes, I just passed it square into Paul Lambert. I just went like, you take it off me. And he obviously was brilliant. And
that was my whole career.
Aye, that's what he done. And it was just, the game just sort of passes you by, and you come off at half time and you're starting to enjoy it, and you're like, and you're starting to grow in confidence, but then it hits about 60-70 minutes and you're like, it's my legs have went here. I'm towing a caravan here. And your brain and your energy and the pure adrenaline saying, get forward, go by, no, it's going an overlap, and your legs are like that. Nah, you've not got an overlap.
You should stay here.
You stay right with your son. Then Henrik comes on, obviously, and the place pure erupts. And you're like, even we daft things, we've touched on, or we've missed, it's been in the huddle. That 20 seconds, that 30 seconds, whatever it is, when you break away from it, it doesn't matter if there's 40, 50, 60,000 there. See that, it's that bolt of sort of energy you get when you break away from that huddle. It's a different world, man, honestly. You just feel you would take on anything. And it's just that wee time when you break away and you hear them all, the fans getting up, and you're like, fucking hell. Then the end of the game, they done the lap up. It was a lap honour, but it was for Henrik. I really, but it was for Henrik was getting a lap honour, really. And now when you look, but even at the time, actually, I tried to take in as much as I possibly could at the time, and I don't know if subconsciously I was thinking that this might not happen again. Right. But I did try and take as much in as I possibly could, and I knew when you're with somebody like Henrik or playing with, he was a quality football player. I mean, I think he was the Euros. Sweden,
right. Yep. Just come back and made the Euros.
And so you knew how good a player he was. So you're sort of think to yourself, actually, chances of me playing with a player of that quality, of that standard.
There's not many. I mean, you're always talking about your one game for Celtic, but no many people played with a current European Cup winner and a future European Cup winner. Fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Okay, now.
So after
right.
But what an experience.
Aye.
What an experience.
Amazing, mate. Amazing. But I'm buzzing sitting here even listening to it. Right. So it's interesting again, because I've no go at doing that your expectations maybe been raised, but what you're saying is amongst your head there's a mere kind of right, because Martin O'Neill's now come in the summer and everything's up in the air once again. Do you know what I mean? The Huns are fucking, I think the Huns won by about 40 points or something. Martin O'Neill's come in, we've got these massive characters come into the club at this point. Are you still in the under 21s chapping on the door, or have you felt you've been pushed back down?
So I was in the 21s at that point, and but see when Martin O'Neill came in, you just felt actually he's not going to be interested in the youth his first year, and I think obviously his first couple of I think Alan Thompson came in for what was it 3.5 million, and Sutton came in for 7.
Alan Thompson came in down the line, didn't he? I think he was September or something, because remember there was no transfer window at that point. And
Lennon came in the November or something, but there was talk about him coming in for
right for the offer. Aye.
Spent was it 6 or 7 million on Sutton. So then straight away, and by that point, sort of Petrov had got his game together, and he started to look at the team and go, the team looks really strong, even with just a few signings that sort of came in. And it just, you wanted to, for me, I wasn't training with some. I'm not sure if some of the other boys were, but they weren't really getting a sort of sniff at all.
Colin Healy really came into the team under Douglas, didn't he? Remember he scored up in Dundee and stuff like that. And even he kind of got put in the back. I'm pretty sure he went out and loan to Coventry. And as you say, Martin O'Neill never really showed any interest, certainly that first season, to bring any of the young boys in.
Which is fair enough, because obviously it's been Rangers winning the league.
The job
so far. His job was to come in and make sure Celtic won. So you're sort of, and probably at that point, probably within about September, October, I'm thinking, actually, this is my last year. I'm not going to be here next year. That quick, you know what I mean? Because your contract's up. I was turning 20 in October, so my contract was up in 21. So say that sort of August to December time, you're probably looking at it going like that. I'm not going to be here. Playing a few 21s. But see the thing about football, and this is a bit, there's always a next group coming through. So even if I'm the second year at under 21s, you've got guys like Liam Muller, who was champing on the door at that point. You know, he's pushing you up the road, and you've got Healy maybe dropping down, or you've got Petrov dropping down. But there's maybe boys that have come into the youth team that are maybe three years younger than you, who are performing really well, and they're taking a step up as well. It's just there's just boys coming through all the time. You always have to be a couple of steps ahead. You really in football more than anything else, you can't stand still, can you? I mean, and I think that's probably, when I look back, that's probably where I probably did stand still for that period, and probably in my head I was like, I'm gone, I'm away. So that year was probably, I didn't play. I played a bit of it for the 21s, and I think we played Stenhousemuir in a testimonial with the 21s. I think it was about October, November we played the game. Then on the January, Stenhousemuir tried to get me on loan, and I went there on loan.
3 months spell. So that was in February 2001 under manager Brian Fairley. I have to say, not a name I've ever heard. I mean, like I think my football knowledge is pretty good. I mean, and I was like, I was googling it, and I'm going, not a Scooby Doo, man.
I think after Stenhousemuir, he didn't have anybody. He didn't manage, but then he went to juniors and he managed.
No, he went to Dumbarton, but he went to juniors after that. So
I think it was Linlithgow or Bowness. I can't remember. It was one of them. Anyway, he went to manage there.
I think he might have been a Bathroom, in fact.
But that was see, to be fair, the cracking time. The only problem I had that it was part time, which is fine. That wasn't the issue with part time. But sort of Celtic will add to me. that's you can just train with them. What do I do during the day? And fair to Kenny, he's like, well,
what do you do during the day?
I know. Well,
just come
because the 21s would be playing on a Monday night, and it'd be off on a Tuesday. So I'm like, who am I going to? Well, I've got nobody there. So then on the Wednesday, I think I'd been on the Wednesday. Then Stenhousemuir would train the Thursday. You would do a light session the Friday. So I was only in twice a week. So it's I sort of distanced myself a wee bit, which is probably silly of me now when I look back. But it was just sort of the mindset, and I was actually really enjoying Stenhousemuir. It was a brilliant time.
So
that was in the old.
You brought up Jimmy Sanderson earlier on. God, I never even realised he played with Hearts for a few years as well. Fucking Hearts and Airdrie, fuck's sake. Would there have been any other names that I would have recognised for that team?
I'm trying to think. It was a boy called Isaac English.
Remember Isaac English? Yeah.
Aye.
A decent player as well.
The boy was Gavin Duncan, who was at Partick Thistle full time, and he'd went to Stenhousemuir. The big goalie was Gary Gow, who then left to go to Partick Thistle, who was probably ages with me. Trying to think who else. Who's the other boys? I think that was the only ones I can really.
Right. So, like I said, you were there for 3 months. You enjoyed that, kind of gave you a wee bit of, and then you go, this is one for the old school here, right? So, Celtic released you in the summer. So, you basically knew once they tell you stay there, you knew. So, you were kind of looking. So, you go and move to Clydebank, right? And if there is younger people listening, people going to understand, Clydebank were a well-established club at that point, a well-established Scottish club. But you're now back into, was that the third division? Aye, the third division you'd have been. Was that second division?
Aye. Well, it was called. So it wasn't it was a third division. Third division. It was a third division league, but it was called the second division because it was.
You were in the second division. Yes, I thought that's what I meant to say. You were in the third league, but you were in the second division. So you had the third division underneath you. So I'm laughing because I went and I had a wee look at it. So your manager there is the now famous fucking open goal, Derek Ferguson. I mean, who was again for the younger team, Derek Ferguson was a smashing footer player. I mean, I'm looking at that, right? So you finished fourth that season, your first year there, you finished fourth, and the club folded at the end of the season. And then the club itself was bought by Jim Ballantyne, who would change them into Airdrie United, because Airdrie went tits up a year before and took my place in the league, right? So if I've got my timeline correct, and I think I do because I remember talking to Martin about it, you played with Mark McNally, Michael O'Neill, Billy McKinley, Joe Miller, and Dan Jackson. Is that right?
I see at one point, so we were in the second division. I think we had more international caps than like half of the Premier League sides.
Fucking hell, man.
Unbelievable. Like, it's big Henry Smith was in goals.
Really as well? Fucking hell. Henry dropped the ball.
Oh, aye. There's a name for you. There was loads of wee Paul McGrillen, who I played with later on in my career.
God bless him.
He's no longer with us. It's Big Ali Graham, who writes for the Sunday Mail or something. I think it does now.
What's a team, man?
It's Mark McNally. As you said, it's Michael O'Neill was brilliant. He was a crack player, by the way. It's Michael O'Neill.
Yeah.
Cracking guy.
Loved the somersault.
It's Billy McKinley would only travel up on the Friday. He would train on the Friday morning, then play on the Saturday, then go back down the road. He would still staying in Blackburn or something.
I was going to say, would he be still doing Blackburn? Fucking hell.
Still doing Blackburn.
What was Derek Ferguson like as a manager? Was it basically a bunch of...
No, it was like his training was intense. It was all about possession. It was all about passing and keeping the ball. The problem that he had was he was still good enough to play, but he was wanting to manage as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard thing to do. And he was still, so he was still doing both. So it was a hard one for him. But see, honestly, as a manager, he was spot on. The training was brilliant. He had Michael Oliver as the sort of head of I'm not sure what his title was. The sort of head of football or something. So he was the ones that brought us in. But there was a few young boys. There was me, Eric Payton, who went on to play for Dundee. There was Alan Gow. Mind Alan Gow at side.
Yeah, so did Alan Gow not play with Rangers?
But I don't think he actually played. He was signed for Rangers.
I just always remember Alan Gow.
So you had Gowser, Eric Payton, myself. Sweet Brian McColligan was in.
Right, okay, yeah.
As well. Who was at Stockport. Wee guy, Liam McVeigh. So there was a few young ones then. There was quite a gap. Then it was just all experienced boys, all boys at 30 plus. And it was like the cracking team. But
you just in there doing the doggies, are these?
Basically, just runners. So you would play, you'd play Michael O'Neill up front. So if Derek was playing, he would sit in the middle of the park, or Billy McKinley would sit in the middle of the park, and you'd go to the left, or I'd go to the left. It's Eric Payton would be in the right, and you would just be running back and forth. With Rob McKinnon playing centre half or left back.
Rob McKinnon, my God.
Honestly,
Rob McKinnon was a brilliant player, man.
He's brilliant. He's a top guy as well, by the way, a pure legend.
Guy.
Top guy. But if you can imagine, see if you get into that dressing room, it's just full of experience, stories, mentalness. Do you remember? I'm not sure if you remember the guy. It's Paul Kinnaird. He played at the lower leagues for years, right? Sort of kicked about Thistle, Ham. Played with loads of teams. Cracking player. It's wee Alec Burke was there as well. Maybe Burke played with Kilmarnock.
You had Alec Burke at Clydebank as well, because you had Alec Burke at Queens, didn't you?
Queens as well, aye.
You had him and David Bagan as a
that's right, aye. But see, the funny thing is, at the start of that season, so I'd left Celtic, and this shows you how stupid I was back then. I trained right throughout the summer, right? So I was the fittest I'd ever been. And see, now when I look back, I say to myself, why the fuck did I not do that every year?
Yeah.
So why did I do it the year I left? So I actually went up on a 6-week trial with Dundee United.
Right.
And I done their pre-season, right? So it was old school pre-season with it's Maurice Malpass, Paul Hegarty. It was Alex Smith was the manager at the time.
Right, okay, yeah.
So the players in there. So I travelled up with Big Jim Laughlin, Tony Smith, Derek Lilly, and it was an absolute hammer in their pre-season, right? And I cruised it. It was the fittest I'd ever been. And see, after that, I was like myself, why the fuck did I?
Why is it taking this? Why
is it taking this so stupid? So to be fair to Alex Smith, he never said he was going to sign, but he was like, if it's a Scottish boy and he wants training facilities, he's more than welcome to come up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got too many midfielders, so I was like, fair play. I mean, he actually done well, guys. But then, so I finished the trial, right? So I didn't sign for Clydebank until about, it was like mid-August or something. It was late.
Okay.
The season had started, and I went down to speak to Queen of the South, right? So Queen of the South and Clydebank were in the same, it's very in the same division. Travelled down with my dad, went to speak to John Conley, spoke to him, it's left. My dad's like, what do you think? I says, no, Dad, it's just too far to travel. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes. I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. So I came back up the road. I sort of had an agent at the time who was sort of getting me out, and he's like, you can go in with Clydebank if you want. I says, aye. I signed a month's contract, then played with Clydebank, absolutely loved it. Brilliant. It was a great league. Great bunch of boys. The end it went a wee bit ski with.
Because of all the shit in the club. Were you getting paid and all that, or were you getting? I mean, at this point now, I would presume you're now back. You're part time.
No, it's Clydebank for full time.
Full time at that point. Wow.
Full time, and Scott. No, you see all the training facilities that the teams have got now. Right, it's Clydebank. We're training in Regi Park. Whoa, what an experience that was, man. Hell. Scary, what, man? You trained, because Regi Park used, at that time, you used to have the Astro at Regi Park. Then behind the Astro was a big bit of grass, or 2 parts here. So you train on the grass or train at Regi Park. Oh, scary, man. Absolutely scary.
The amount of maniacs coming down. My old gaffer used to come for Regi Park.
Oh, fucking man. But I think I was in the second division. I think I was on like 350 quid a week. and I think it was like 150 a win or something like that. So it was decent. Like, so obviously I was still staying with my mum and dad. So I was 20. I was 21 that year. So there's some weeks you're getting £500, so you're like, that's brilliant. So I played that season, came to the end. It was going Pete Tong. There was players coming in all over the place. No, see, coming near the end of the season. So I think it's Billy McKinley was coming in like the Feb. I think he signed the January or February. But I'm like that. So I'm training all week, and he's turning up on a Friday or sometimes on a Saturday morning, and he's playing. And I appreciate it's Billy McKinley, right? You've got Dan Jackson swaggering about. He's in amongst it. You've got Joe Muller turning up. You've got Michael. I prefer to Michael Neal. He was there at the start, and you're like, I think at one point, I'm sure Gordon Jury was on trial at one point, or played a few games at one point. Or no. Honestly, it was just people appear, and it's all people you knew, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? How is that even worth it? But obviously, there was a lot of rumours going about. I think it was supposedly John Viola who was sort of putting the money in. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously, it went Pete Tong, sort of, it's come the end of the season, boys weren't getting paid, then they were getting paid. I think eventually I went a month or something, or 6 weeks with no wages, then I got something. I'm not sure if it was a full amount, but I was like, right, just cancel it, just get it done. And I was gutted that we sort of split that up, because see, at the start, we had a cracking team. Mm-hmm. We had a good balance, but then it was just boys coming in and just no training and playing. And you were just like, fuck, where are you getting me? Sorry, it's prepared to Billy McKinley. He was brand new, by the way. He's a cracking guy.
But you're looking up that way, and he's coming in to kick a ball. Do you know what I mean?
Kick the ball for the last game of the season. But then, so the season ends, right? So that year, it's Queen of the South that won the championship that year.
Won the league, aye.
They won the league, so they went up to the first division, as you would call it, or it's the championship, as you call it now.
That would have been the first division, yeah.
First division. So then, I've left Clydebank, went away on holiday, came back. Then Queen of South phoned me again. So the year before that, I went down to speak to Queen of South, and I went, that's too far to travel. I'm not signing with them. Nah, I'm not doing that. They asked me, it's now they're in the first division. They're like, Brian, do you want to sign? I was like, well, I think this is the only club I've ever wanted to play for.
As you say, interesting time at Queen's. They've just won the league. You're new in the first division, or the championship, which is an excellent standard. So once again, you're in a club with a bust of names. So Andy Gorham was there at the point. If I'm writing an MD's, let me know now. Yes. Andy Gorham was there. Robbie Nielsen was there, young man. A guy called Wally Gibson, and if I'm right, Wally Gibson's played for every Scottish team in the world.
Still playing?
Aye, they're still doing it. Current Queen's manager John O'Neill was there, who was signed by Celtic by Tommy Burns. Brian McColligan, the winger, who was given his debut by Tommy as well at Celtic, was there. And you remember mentioned him last time. I don't know how long he was here. Paul Shields, who was at Clydebank, he joined up with Queens as well. So you're new. You've had a wee dalliance in the Premier League. You've had a couple of spells in the second division. You're new in the Championship, stroke the first division. What's the standard like there? What's the team like you're in? Because you're there for just over 3 seasons, 2 5th place finishes and a 4th place finish. So I mean, you won the Challenge Cup your first year. It must have been a good time for you. Again, you would have been full time, yes.
Oh, so that was my first year part time.
Right, so this is part time in the first division. That's interesting.
In the first division, so I think my first year down there, I was on, I think it was like £200 a week. And again, the win bonuses and appearance. But I think I was getting something like, I think it was £500 for every 10 appearances, and I think your win bonuses was maybe, I think it went up. I think it was 150 or 200 or something like that. So it was like if you're playing
decent dough,
decent dough for part time. You're training twice a week, playing on a Saturday. But obviously it was a new experience for me in a sense, because obviously it was part time. That's the difference. But obviously you went into a dressing room as well, who the boys were winners. They'd won the league the year before. I played against them. But what a dressing room, like an unbelievable dressing room, because it's unlike now. I think Queen of the South now train at Hamilton or something like that, or Cumbernauld, whereas then it's we train down there twice a week. So you'd be doing there.
So you were doing the road? Jeez.
Doing the road 3 times a week. So there was about 2 motors worth that travelled down for Glasgow. There was probably about 5 or 6 boys for sort of Dumfries or Carlisle. Then there was another 2 motors worth would travel up from Newcastle. So it was what a mental dressing room, right? And the year they won the league, some of the stories about the year they won the league were mental. But a brilliant dressing room, loads of experience. There's guys like Big Derek Anderson, who's the Morton Youth Academy director. As you spoke about, John O'Neill, cracking player. It's Brian McColligan signed at the same time as me. I knew Brian for obviously Celtic. But there was younger ones like it's me and Eric Payton signed again together.
Right,
so
okay.
Eric was Joe McAlpine was doing. It's Derek Lyle was there as well.
There
was a crack.
Yeah.
Who's quite close to us. You'd Colin Scott, you'd Andy Gorham. You'd
Colin
loads
Scott
of.
used to play with Raith Rovers.
No, well, it's Colin Scott who played with Rangers. It was a number 2 under
goalkeeper.
Gorham.
The goalkeeper, aye.
It was number.
Right. Oh yeah. Right, yeah.
He went down to Queen of the South to play, and I think he played for 2 years. And then Gorham signed.
And Andy Gorham turned up, alright, wee man. Pardon.
Scooter was they used to call him Scooter, and some of us like he was a cracking goalie, right? But a dead quiet guy, but a lovely guy, right? But he used to do it at corners when corners would come in. He would go Scooters. Then he'd just hear a wee voice going, no, it's no. And you'd be like, last minute, you're jumping about, trying to header things and punch people and all that. It's just big shout, everybody would duck, and you just go, no, it's no. And you're like, for fuck's sake, Scooter, what are you doing? So what a dressing room. And obviously the first year we won the Challenge Cup. Like, what an experience. Obviously, for the first, what was 6 or 7 months, as Gorham was playing, he was at the latter end of his career. I think he'd been at Motherwell at that point. I think he'd been at Man United at that point.
Aye, yeah, we would have been.
So he'd sort of done it. He sort of knew what I was, and I knew what he was. It was apparent. And to be fair, he was all right. But he was staying in I think it was like a bed and breakfast down there in Dumfries. He was out partying all the time. He was still
safe. Fucking hell, man.
But he was turning up at training just trying to sober up. But he was still a cracking goal at the time, to be fair to him. But it was a great experience, brilliant experience. I loved the club. It was a cracking club, loads of good fans. They sort of looked after it. It was a good community club at the time. Sort of ended a bit bad. It didn't end as well as what I'd probably liked it. I was on a good contract so I was into my 4th year. I think I was on like 150 quid a week part-time. And I was working at that point, so I got a job in a factory, right? So I'm earning good dough. So I think John Conley was there for the first 2 years. He got the St Johnstone job. And he tried to take me to St Johnstone. But he tried to do the sly with me. He says, just go and say to Queen of the South that you're homesick and you went back up the road. And I'm like, I can't say that. I've been there for 2 years.
Yeah,
He's like, it's go and get a free and I'll sign you with St Johnstone. And I was like, and obviously St Johnstone were in the championship at the time, full time. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I said, I'm going to do that. It sounds stupid and I'll get caught out. So I finished, it was his number 2, Ian Scott, who then took the Queen of South job, and he came in. He was a Geordie, so he took care when he went away. It just didn't work out. Right. And obviously he gets sacked. It's when Ian McCall comes in.
Oof.
So I think I was suspended for McCall's first 2 games, right? So I hardly played. So it comes to about Christmas or January time or something. It's my engagement party on something like January the 13th, right? So we're due to play at home or whatever it is. Like, so we've sort of built it around the fixtures. So I think when Ian McCall came in, his movement between the South was trying to move them back full time. So he was trying to get them back up. I think eventually he sort of moved the club and their training back up to Glasgow, to Cumbernauld, or it was Cumbernauld he moved them up to. So he's told a few boys that same done. So see, a lot of experienced boys are was Derek Allen, Derek Anderson, all good guys. They're like, right, you're free to go, and he was pulling them in and speaking to them all. So I was like, right, no problem. So remember, it's McCall comes to the West End, and I'm staying sort of Parkhouse beside Postone Springburn. So I'm only 2 minutes away to the West End, right? I'm at training on the Thursday night. So I've no play. I think I've played one game under him. I'm out the door. I know I'm coming out the door, right? So I'm waiting on him to speak to me. He's no spoke to me at training. He spoke to a few other boys. Next training night, he's no spoke to me. He spoke to a few other boys. I get home, and he phones me. Right, so I'm thinking to myself, all right, Gaffer, what's up? Collie, aye, I've got other plans. Blah, blah, blah. You're free to go. And I'm like, I was fucking doing the freeze about 2 years ago. You could have spoke to me. I stay about 10 minutes away from your house. You know what I mean? I could have met you for a coffee and we could have spoke about it. And he phoned me up. So I was fucking raging, right? So I was like, not even having the pure decency to speak to me. Yeah. But I was on good money. So Collie, if I'm on good money, I'm no going. I'll stay. It's unless you pay me up. And he's like, I'm not paying you up. And I was like, right, fine. So like, we didn't talk. It was pure, no, bad, but it was just being a dick. So I'm got to places and I'm not even stripped, right? So I'm just like, yes, right, it is. So when I spoke to you about Queenie South, it was £500 for 10 appearances. So I think up to that point, I was on 9 appearances or something. I done a first batch of 10. So I'm on 9 appearances, right? 2nd of January, we're playing Stranraer down there, right? And I'm in the squad. I think we're getting beat 2-0. And he puts me on in the last minute, right? Last 2 minutes. I'm like, he's just doing this to piss me off. It's fucking... Because I wasn't renowned at that point of my goal scoring capabilities, right? It's not as if you put Brian McColligan on, it's going to go. I'm not doing that, right? So I'm like, he's pissing me off. But in my head, I'm like, fucking dancer, this is my 10th appearance, right? So Monday morning comes, or the next morning, I phoned up the club secretary. I was like, aye, that was my 10th appearance. He said, aye, Brian, I've seen that. I'll get it process. That's not a problem. I said, aye, no problem. I'm fucking right on the phone to Collie. Right, Collie, are we going to sort this out or what? What's happening? Can we just... He's like, right, come on down, we'll speak about it. Right, so down and spoke to him. I settled with it. I think he gave me 2 months' money. I said, that, right, the board. He's like, it's what made you change your mind. I said, see, when you put me on for 2 minutes, I fucking get £500 for that. He's like, yeah, fucking bastard.
Absolutely.
Is that part of your contract? I was like, it's not part of my contract. To be fair to him, I've spoken to him since and he's been brand new, but that's what a manager's do. They try and get you out the door, don't they?
Well, that's funny because, like, so, well, I didn't know that. I mean, you said you get sent off against Hamilton, and that's how you were suspended for a long while. But your first year, you won the Young Player of the Year from the Travel Club. Huh? What about that? Fucking all right.
No bad for that. So, a trophy somewhere.
Right. So, as you say, in January you were off. You were away to Alloa. You were signed by Alan Maitland. Is that correct?
Aye.
Yeah. Back into 2nd division and straight into a big relegation battle. Lovely. That's set up for a tough tackling man like yourself. In fairness to the team, showed a set of boys, defeating Arbroath in the semi-final of the playoff before beating Berwick Rangers 6-1 over the 2 legs and keeping the 2nd division place. So, Alloa again. I want to touch on, see the St Johnson thing. Was there any regrets? That never happened. I mean, even with hindsight, because ultimately you wanted to be a player. That was your career path, but now you've kind of made the decision to go and get a job. You're playing part time, so I presume that you kind of weighed it up and went, it wouldn't have been worth it. Aye.
I think financially, I was on more to be playing in my job than probably got with St Johnson. I think if you're winning, it's different. You're probably a wee bit more, but no, it's not as if we're talking thousands and thousands. Maybe
of course.
50 or 100 quid of a difference. And I just thought, actually, at the time, I just get engaged. I was going to, I think, I was planning the wedding, so I was sort of coming to 23, 24, and I was thinking to myself, actually,
starting to, aye. But so I think at this point, without wanting it to sound cynical, no football's going to there to subside your life rather than being your life.
Aye.
Aye.
So
what was your time at Alloa like?
brilliant. I went doing. That's probably the best I've played.
So you've had a really, really enjoyable football career at this point.
But see, if you look through my career, Scott, it's peaks and troughs, and it's the same as everything. So you have you go to Queen of South, you win the cup, it's amazing. Then you have the dip where you get released. Then you go to Alloa and you're in this competition, and you're just like, this is brilliant. You know, something here. But see, for 3 months, I went in, and it was just brilliant. I loved playing, cracking club, good bunch of boys, and they sort of knew what you were in for. You're like, right, we have to go in and win games here. And it was a hard division. It was hard to try to get out of it. There was a lot of young boys, and he was bringing me in as a bit of experience. But I was, 23 or 24? Jeez. But I was the thing, see, that it's my engagement party was my first game. So I'm thinking I'm going to be playing with Queen of the South. I settled with McCall, so I played against Rand the second. My engagement party was the 13th. I was doing the next. Once I get my money in, I was like, right, call it. We'll sort this out, because I'd sorted money out with Alloa straight away. Got the money sorted. Then I was running about the more. So obviously Lisa's, like, I have the engagement party, right? We'll do this, and it's going to you drop the balloons off, and I'm like, I ain't bother. I'm going to sign with Alloa. And she's like, what do you mean? So I had to go to Hampden on the Saturday morning, and it used to be like the SPFL, the SFL, the SFA would all have one corridor. So you'd go into one bit, sign, go into the next bit, sign, go into the next bit. Usually you would just date at the grounds, but I had to date at Hampden so I could get registered. Mm-hmm. When right, I'd play a game and we get beat 2-0, and Lisa came out, she's like, all that running about, and you still get beat. we went on a pure mental run. We done well to get to the semi-final of the playoff, because at one point we looked done.
Really?
We went up to Arbroath in the semis, a beautiful night. We played them at home. I think we beat them 1-0 at home, and we went up there for the second leg. We were travelling up. If you've been to Arbroath, you got by the water as you go by Dundee. Beautiful sort of pink sky, sunset, absolutely stunning. And get off the bus, and it was fucking blowing a gale, wasn't it? Absolute gale force. Oh, fuck's sake, this is all we need, man. So then we get through eventually. So we get to the final. We played again. It's all the boys are working that, and that's how I quite enjoyed the part-time element of it, because all the boys are at the same levels then, because they're all working during the day, then they're going to play a game. So we played Berwick in the midweek game, and those one of the games you just felt, actually, we're going to batter him. It was just, it was one of the games that was going to happen. So we won 4-0. So we sort of knew, it's going to be all right. It's going to take some to go down. So we went down to Berwick on the Sunday to play them on the Sunday in the final. So we went in for a pre-match somewhere, and they gave us suit as part of the pre-match. Now, it's not always, see when you're part-time in the lower division, they don't always go for pre-matches and stuff like that, but because it's a big game, because it's a wee bit of travel went in, I swear to God, Scott, it was the thickest soup you've ever seen in your life. It could have been classed as cement, right? So a few of the boys are wolfing it down with the rolls and all that. But 10 minutes later, the boys are lying on the chairs. Right, just step away through the soup. So we went down there, we scored in the first 20 minutes in the final. Then I think they scored to make it 1 each. We scored 2-1. And we just sort of seen the game out for the last 25 minutes. But I've never forgot this about Maitland, and I loved Maitland. He was a crack manager with me. See, after that final, right? So we'd won the game 2-1, but we seen the last 20 minutes out. We were just sort of killing the game off. He came in and pure slaughtered us. It was like Alec Ferguson after the cup final with Aberdeen. Pure slaughter. We were jumping about, and he came in and he's like, "That's a fucking disgrace he's done." And we were like, we're practically relegated about 3 months ago, and we've just practically stayed up. But he had a crack. It's Maitland had a crack set up. His assistant was a wee guy, James Ward, who went on to manage Albion Rovers for a bit.
Right, okay.
Who was a brilliant coach, just a dead bubbly character. I went in and I loved it because he gave me loads of responsibility. It's made me captain. He's like, right, you're going to, it's you, and we'll just build a team around you. And with other boys, Jamie Stevenson was in this. It was brilliant with us. So for 3 or 4 months, it's probably the best I played, and absolutely loved it, enjoyed it. It was a really good club. I still go back actually, Alec, because it's not far away from me now. Still watch a few games if I'm scouting, but he's a good guy. But then the following year, and that shows you, again, it's peaks and troughs. So I loved that. Then the following year, so I was getting married at the end. So I've done the 6 months, so I've got a full year. So I signed for another full year. I was getting married at the end of that season. And the job I was working in a factory, and I was on a 2 to 10 shift. They changed all the shifts, and I was working 2 to 10. And I started missing games, or I was missing the shifts, and I wasn't getting paid, or you weren't getting paid at football, you weren't getting paid. So you go for like one extreme to another. And at the end of that season, to be fair to Maitland, he's like, it's Brian, you've just not played enough or trained enough. And it's no, and I sort of knew it myself, but I was getting married that summer. And it's not what it's like getting married, you're paying out everything. No, there's all sorts of money. And that's all it was sort of driving me at that point. And I was gutted that I didn't get another job. I think I got a new job in the March, and he freed me in the, I think it was April or something. So I started a new company in the 1st of March, but by that point, I was missing training. It was done. Aye, it was done. But a great time, a brilliant time.
Well, the good times came back again though, didn't they? So next up, a big money move to Bathgate Thistle under the famous Wally Hill. In July 2007. It was a good move straight away. A Scottish Junior Cup win over Troon 3-1. And you were set up that was it. A 3-1 win over Troon in the first round, 5-0 win over Oakley United, 2-0 over Montrose Roselee, a 1-0 home defeat of Shotts, a nervy 1-1 and 4-2 home defeat of Clydebank in the quarters, and then an extra time 2-1 win over Pollock, set up a final at Rugby Park on the 1st of June 2008. A 2-1 win over Cumnock took the cup back to Bathgate for the first time. Now, would there be anybody in that team? Because as I remember when you signed for them, your cousins were telling me all about it and stuff, and they were kind of bouncing the games when they could. And so there was decent dough came your way, I'm led to believe. Right? I'm led to believe. You can correct me, right? So who else was in that team? Would there be any names that I would recognise, or was it all kind of Hardy junior boys?
It's all the boys who played senior, but it might be before you boys. Graham Love was club captain. He played with Hibs.
Graham Love played with Hibs. I remember Graham Love, yeah.
Alan Lawrence was the first team coach who played with Airdrie Hearts.
Played with Airdrie Hearts. I played in the Scottish Cup final against Celtic, yeah.
Aye, that's right, aye. The assistant was Lambert, who played with Airdrie, who played in the Scottish Cup final for Celtic, against Celtic with Airdrie. I can't mind. What's his name? He's going to kill me. I can't mind his full name. His nickname was Lambert. He was in number 2. Trying to think who else would you know?
Baldy fella.
Aye.
Paul
Jack.
Paul Jack. I worked with him as well.
Paul Jack. Stephen Docherty, who played with Airdrie Clydebank. Sweet Paul McGrillen played. Aye. Dosser
in that team? I never knew that.
No Dosser, for God's sake, no Dosser. No,
Dosser, right.
No, for God's sake. It was bad enough playing with Dosser when I was under 10, never mind playing with Dosser. I'm trying to think who else, Brian McPhee played with Clydebank.
Brian McPhee played in that team, alright, aye.
And
big player, man.
It was all my boys feast and stuff like that, aye. So, again, that was a shock to the system going junior. See all the stuff that sort of surrounds when you play with Alloa and Queen South. See the stuff that sort of surrounds the ground, the fans, the build up to a game. That's just no there at juniors.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't there at juniors.
This was my big query, because like obviously when the Scottish Cup's magic, obviously getting the dough in your skyrocket's brilliant and stuff like that. But I would imagine from the heady days at Celtic Park, going down to Stenhousemuir, going back up, and then even kind of floating about Queens and all that, to go to junior football, you must be straight away. You must be like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Bams coming in, fucking storing up the pipe beside you.
I slaughtering you. You're like, fucking, and you would get absolutely slaughtered, by the way. See, our punters, you take more abuse at juniors than what you do at any senior ground. 100%. You get absolute caned at juniors. And but see the standard of teams. I always felt, so obviously you've sort of kicked about the West.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt as if the standard of the teams through the East were better. Because even if you look at Lithgow and Bo'ness just now are doing really well in the Lowland League, Kelty and Bonnyrigg are in the second division, first division. We had Lockheed and Tayport, who were massive at the time, two massive clubs for up in the D. So it was a right hard league. No, it wasn't a fuck about league. No, I mean, it was a real, you sort of had to be on it, but it was all the wee daft things that you get when you play sort of senior football with Alloa, Queen of South, whoever it is, that it's just not there. You just walk out, once you walk out onto a junior ground, you're like, fucking hell, man. You see, unless it's a big Scottish Cup tie, it's, no, it's wee daft things like, or sometimes you would only turn up and it'll be one ref, and there's no linesman.
And no linesman.
No, that sounds stupid. And you're laughing because you've been involved in junior football, and that happens all the time in junior football.
Aye. It's funny that I kind of, obviously, I was all amateur, and then I went up to St Roch's based on the committee, and if you were getting two linesmen and a referee, we've cracked it, lads. You know what I mean?
No. But it was wee daft things like that when you were playing with Alloa and Queen of South. You were like, that was just stuff you expected. I was just always there. Then you went down to juniors and you were like, that's what, there's only a ref. And you're like, aye. That was like,
and the ref's shite themselves.
That's when you would play senior and that stuff, and you get stuck into challenges. There would always be people there who stop you or make sure that they calm down. But see, when you play in juniors, see if you say to somebody, I'm going to do you better watch your back, because when the ref's looking the other way, you're just like, scalp.
And then there's a bit
where'd you go?
I was just saying, fucking the cunts on the side, fucking with their beers in their hand, on their hand, you know.
Slaughtering you, man. We went up to play, I think it was Kelty. We went up to play Kelty Hearts, and it was at a time when all that Peter Tobin stuff had come out. And obviously he stayed in Bathgate for a period of time or something like that, right? So obviously I didn't pay any attention. All the fans were pure slaughtering us about Peter Tobin. Right? I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, he's nothing to do with me. I'm like, hold on, I'm a Glasgow boy. I'm not to do with Bathgate. I'm nothing to do with Bathgate. I'm a Glasgow boy. I play here, but I'm a Glasgow boy.
A big disclaimer before every game.
He's not to do with us. He's not to do with us. But that was, obviously we won the Scottish Junior Cup, which was amazing. And see, after it, the following week, it was the Bathgate Gala Day, right? And we had an open top bus going through Bathgate, and the streets were absolutely stowed. It was mental. It's an experience like I would never ever think I would have. And it was just.
Did you say there, if you were in the juniors East League at that point, and you actually finished 8th that season? Is that right?
Aye.
Fucking hell! So you went fucking.
Well, see, be fair, see in the in the juniors, it was always about the Scottish Cup.
Scottish Cup, yeah.
The Scottish Cup, it's the only sort of competition in the world where the Scottish Cup is bigger than the league.
Yeah.
So if you win the Scottish, you get more sort of credit or more sort of
credit, and you're in the Scottish and all that. Know what I mean? Yeah.
But
right, so we'll kind of call it a buy on that stuff then. So how long were you Bathgate, and was Bathgate your last port of call?
I came through and I played with Kilsyth for a year in 2012.
Oh, as late as that, fuck.
I was at Bathgate for about 4 or 5 years.
Right, okay.
But that was back in the day when they would just retain you. You couldn't go once your contract was up. Even if your contract was up, if they offered you the same money that you were on, then that was you retained. But it's different. It's the same as everywhere else. If your contract's up and you're free to go. I went to Kilsyth, but at that point, in 2012, so Aidan was born in the March. So Sophie was free. Aidan was born in the March. I signed with Kilsyth in the August, and again I was missing training, and I was rushing about to games, and I'm like, I was 33, so I was like, I can probably hang it out for another couple of years. I started to pick up wee injuries and stuff like that. And I was like, no, that's me done. I'm no, it's always to be able to get off. So I was like, right, this game over. I'll tell you a funny story. So I sort of had it in my head, that was me done. It was sort of typical juniors. I played on the Saturday, we were playing on the Monday, playing on the Wednesday, playing on the Saturday, then the league was finished. Right, so we needed 4 points or something, we were struggling. We got beat off Cumbernauld, and we were playing, I can't think who it was, the team. No, I'd went through my career with very little injuries. I'd done my knee, I'd done my medial ligaments twice, but no bad. It's no scars, it's no broken noses, nothing. So in my head, I'm finished. So it was the second game out of 4 of the last week. We're getting beat 1-0. I'm sure it was Cumbernauld, maybe. It's corner, I'm at the front post area, the ball's coming right to me. I've turned my head to go and head the ball out, and the boys came across me, and he's put his teeth right into my forehead. It's bust my forehead open. So me thinking, right, I'm going to have this big Sunday. This is my last week. 4 games left at the start of the week. That's me done. I got to the second game. I went to the hospital. They had to glue out the giller. The glue get infected. My eyes over popping out my head. I was like, I'm done. I'm definitely done.
That's over.
Finished. So was like, please tell me you're chucking it.
That's it done now. Aye. The wains are fucking running away for you now.
So then what was that? So I was 30. I was coming up for 34 and I chucked it. So that was me. I was done. It's when it goes on to the next chapter.
So what was the thinking after that, Brian? Right? I mean, like the days of full-time football are long gone at this point. So you've kind of you've no got that kind of clinging on. And football has ultimately became secondary in your life, even third after your work in your family. So it's like it's no kind of retaining you and stuff like that. But you played at a very good level consistently. I mean, like, I always laugh at people who say to me, I only play junior. I'm like, mate, I'd have paid money to fucking only play junior, you know what I mean? So did you have any considerations? I mean, with the contacts you built up all the year, did you have any consideration of flinging yourself into a football career, or was your work now just this is my thing?
See when you step away from senior football and you go into junior, it's very difficult to move from junior back to senior.
The door shuts behind you, does it?
Wee bit, aye.
Right, okay.
I had a chance to go in as assistant manager with, was it Kilsyth? I can't remember. It was Kilsyth. Once I left, it was about 4 months. The guy came in, get sacked, and somebody else came in, and they phoned me up to say he came in as assistant. I was like, no, I'm not interested in him. See, to be fair, I didn't miss it from Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, where I missed it, it was on a Saturday.
The dressing room,
see the training and that. I didn't that, but it was a Saturday afternoon. I missed it. I've been out and going to a game. It sort of gave a structure to your week, because it's like no going to see Celtic on a Saturday. You're just sitting in the house and you're going to the shops or whatever. You're like, what the fuck am I doing, man? I don't know what I'm doing here. You feel lost, and eventually, at least it's like, if you're going to have to do something because you're bored. And I'm like, but that's what I was talking about. Once you move away from senior and you go, so I was doing junior for about 6 years. It's hard to get back up, because there's always the next generation of players who are playing.
Yep. Same as you're saying about
finishing. They're always, it's a conveyor belt. So that's sort of where I got to that point. I was like, I'm going to have to do something. I was bored on a Saturday.
So what was your next plan of attack then?
So I had a friend who was this first team coach, assistant manager for a team in the championship, and he was saying it was during pre-season actually, and he's like, Collie, there's a team playing that's close by you. I think it was in Regi. He's like, it's going to go and watch them for us. The team, he's like, we're playing them in a friendly next week. We just want to make sure we've got an idea of what they're doing. I said, no problem. And it was me and my wee pal Joe Hayes had done it. So me and wee Joe were doing it. Because Joe was still playing, I think he was still playing juniors. I think he finished at the same time, but he was a kit man at Celtic for a while, and he'd left. So he was trying to sort of stay in the game a wee bit as well. So then we'd done that. We went to watch a game. So I'd done a report. My mate, he gave me a sort of structure.
Right, I was interested to see what that, like a tick box basically.
Aye, tick box, and there was some space for commentary and stuff like that. So that was 1 week, and he said to us on the Monday, by the way, see the following week we play such and such, it's going to go and watch him. I didn't bother. Before you know it, it's the start of the season. Like, by the way, we've got Dundee United, we've got Airdrie. Any chance you can go and watch him? I didn't bother. So we sort of stumbled into it. It wasn't as if I was saying to myself, right, this is something I really want to get into. It was just a case of, right, if I want to do something on a Saturday afternoon, I've been asked to go and do this. I'm going to watch a game of football. It was all at lower level football, the Championship or the first or the second, which I knew anyway, and I played in that, quite enjoyed it. I knew all the stadiums. I was like, how no, go and watch it. And it was just over a course of time. So then before you know it, like, it's coming to Christmas and we're still doing it. So then that's 1 season done. Then there's 2 seasons done. Then there's 3 seasons done. Now I'm going to it's like my 10th season. Now going to watch teams, and I've now developed my own sort of a document. I've got a 9-page document which I put together. Right. I focus on corners for, corners against, free kicks for, free kicks against. What's the shape when they've got possession? What's the shape when they're out of possession? I do a wee bit of commentary on each of the players. I speak about the team's strengths and weaknesses. I speak about the team I'm playing against. I'll speak about the style of play. And I've now gone into a fine art where I've watched that many games over the 8 or 9 years. That's where I see me being involved in football most. Because people have spoken to me loads about, it's no fancy doing coaching. And I was going to do coaching with Aiden for a wee while with my boy. And I done it for a wee bit, and I was like, and the twos were falling out coming home and all that, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't. That's no. So when I take Aiden to football, I say nothing. Right, I don't say a word, and it comes off the park, and I said, "Do you have fun?" Aye, right, no bother, brilliant. So when I go on the Saturdays to games, I sort of created a way of watching games now, whereas normal people will watch a game and they watch a ball going down to one end. What I'll probably do is sort of turn my head to look to see where the 2 centre halves are, to see where the fullback is. Is fullback higher up on one side or no? Or actually, is there a passage of play that they've worked on where it goes from one side and they try a big diagonal? So I'm looking at constant wee sort of snippets. And what I've sort of found out over the years is all the games at senior level, all the games are recorded. And there's a thing called is it Scoutgate or something, where you can go and watch all the games. Right, so Celtic will have, actually Celtic have got a department, I think now, and it started about the importance that became out 5 or 6 years ago. I think the Premiership actually they've got 3 or 4 people who'll sit and watch the last 3 or 4 games of the teams that are going to play. We'll do reports on every single player, tell you how many times they touch with his right, how many times they touch with the left, what's the most common pass they make. So they give all that to the manager and say, right, here, this is all the stuff. So a lot of the teams in the lower leagues have got that. I've got the opportunity to watch these games, but they've not got the staff to actually look at it. So what I found with the team I'm working with is I'll go and watch the games because they prefer somebody to be there. So I'll send in my 10-page report. Then they'll go and watch it as well to see if there's anything they see, and they go and confirm what I've seen as well. So a lot of time, because it's not as if it's a game. It's not like Sky cameras where you've got 40 cameras watching every single angle. There's one camera that's a way stuck up in the sky, and you just look at the game as a whole. And what I'll go and
as somebody who does a day previews, so I go and talk to the opposition fan, and if I'm talking to them, a lot of time I'll go and watch their game. But as you say, sit and watch a Premier game, I've got all the highlights. See when I'm away and try to watch the League Cup group games, man, and as you say, it's just one person now.
That's your whack, innit? So what they do now is they send me it, and I'll go and do a big report on them. And it's just their time. It's just became a thing. And honestly, it's not something I thought I'd be involved in. But I love it. I think it was a couple of years ago, I was sitting with Melissa and we were talking about it, and she says, you always know that you love to do something when you get up at 7 in the morning and like to go and finish a report. She's like, that's a sign that you actually really enjoy it. Because if I was to say, you're right, it's go to work at 7 in the morning, you'd be like, oh, you're kidding me on. Whereas, seeing a Sunday morning, I'll bounce out my bed at 7 o'clock. I'll go and sit downstairs in the peace and quiet, and I'll go and finish my report because it's on my head. Now I've sort of developed it.
I think honestly, it's so interesting, mate. Right? And I know I'm a geek anyway, but I think it's so interesting because I've often spoke about how it's hard to go and watch a game of football, especially involving your own team and watching the game of football. You know yourself, you just look for your own deficiencies, you look for your own good bits, you don't give them any credit. So once you're able to kind of disconnect and watch a game and appreciate everything that's gone is one thing, and you're doing something way beyond that. I remember going and watching teams when I done amateur football, just go and watch them to see what you're up against. Maybe you go to the Scottish Cup. And like I say, it's really easy to get caught up in a game. Oh, fuck me, look at that, look at this off. And the next thing you know, what did you learn? Fuck all. So
it's over time, you sort of learn how to, as I said, I started doing it when I was 34, 35, so I'm 44 this year, so nearly 10 years, 9-10 years I've been doing it on and off. I was travelling all about Scotland, and I've had different techniques about how to do it. You know, sometimes at the start I used to sit with a big massive notepad, with a big folder, right? It would take up about 3 seats. I'd have my pen at the ready, see if there was any sort of gust of wind. That was me, man. I snookered. And I started using just the wee notepads that you would get. Now I've got a balance in between. I'll take the laptop and I've got a wee notepad, because what I also give them is sort of a wee update of every 15-minute period. So I'll speak about the 0 to 15, 15 to 30, and 30 to 45, and the second half. Because what you find is a lot of teams will start brilliant, but then they'll tail off, or some teams finish really strongly in the end of the first half. They'll start, or you'll speak about when they concede a goal, if they went into the back, if they dropped deep once they've conceded, or if they've gone sort of gung-ho. So I'll speak about different things. But it's a way I think, it's just a way of watching the game. So now when I go to Celtic games and I'm watching it, and Celtic up one end of the park, I'm watching fucking Carter Vickers and Scales. I'm like, it's why they're so square, or why they're so... See, under Postecoglou, it baffled me last year.
Really?
See when Celtic had possession, like Carter Vickers and Scales were about 10, 15 yards sort of inside their half. It's no Scales, it was Starfelt. It was inside the opposition half, which meant you had 22 players within the space about 40 yards. And you're like, God, or 21 players.
They're squeezing out play, but that's ridiculous, man.
Mental, because any game that you would watch, the centre halves would practically stop at halfway line.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't go beyond the halfway line. Where Celtic last year was Carter Vickers and Starfelt, they just squeezed on 10, 15 yards, and you're like, then that meant everybody squeezed on, and all of a sudden the centre forwards in the 6-yard box and scoring goals, and you're like, aye, that's why he's doing it. I get it. Everybody can do that. So I've been doing that for. Actually, I was watching Queen's Park versus Ayr on Saturday. So I was at Hampden watching it. It was a good game, actually. Good standards, a few good boys. It was Scott Brown's first game.
Right. Yep.
So I've never met Scott Brown. He was well before me. But you can tell already he's going to be a character at the side of the park. He is going to be a character at the park. Aye. Oh, brilliant. It was a wee instance in the first half where the attacking midfielder had sort of got beyond the Ayr midfield. And it was a 50-50 with the Ayr centre mid and this boy, right? And he has to win it. The Ayr boy has to win it, right? But he sort of, instead of just going right through it, he sort of jumped at it. Oh my God, I thought Scott Brown was going to run on the park. He was wearing a jacket, the jacket's off. He's screaming at the boy, damn, you have to win it. He's shouting at that Stephen Whittaker, he's shouting at the bench, he's shouting at the boy. I was like, he's absolutely mental. He is going to have it.
Fantastic.
But that's where as I go to all these random grounds, I was watching Broomhill the other week against Gretna. I've watched teams in the Championship, lower leagues, Premier Leagues, all different places. It's all pure random. I was through it.
You get free pies at these places?
Oh, the hell. No chance. No chance. You see the best, I see when you go to these places now and you're sitting with your laptop, it's the people sitting beside you. Obviously, see the grounds I go to, they're not always busy. Right, so you get plenty of seats. It's not like Parkhead where it's every single seat. So you're sitting there and you'll see like it's women that are worse, by the way. Guys will just sort of look at you and sort of growl at you, and you just go in it. But women will just sit and they'll just keep looking at you, and eventually you'll turn around and they'll be like, so what are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm doing a bit of scouting. Oh, are you? Oh, good. Then they'll talk about you. Whereas guys just sort of growl at you as I'm not sure if I'm a copper or something. I'm going to jail. I'm sitting there listening or something. What they're saying. I'm terrified.
Absolutely.
But no, I absolutely love it. It's something that I really enjoy, and hopefully I keep doing it. It's only in a voluntary basis, so I'll see how it goes. There's some courses that I can do as part of the SFA, but it's for no always on because it's not always picked up. But so far so good. Good,
mate. Good. So what do you what is the kick on after that then? Is it? I mean, is that a professional role? I mean, like, as I know with scouting, in actual fact, do you know what? I read a book about scouting a good while ago, and it basically said to me scouting is pretty much a freelance fucking part-time job. Do you know what I mean? Which I don't think a lot of football fans know that. Do you know what I mean? It's really off your own bat. You're doing a lot of travelling, and then you're putting in expenses. You're not getting, here's a big wad of money, go and do that. You know what I mean?
I think I think teams like Celtic and stuff like that have got maybe 3 or 4 people who are scouting on the teams that are going to play. They're scouting on the players that they're going to sign. So they've got a wee mini department. See, apart to that, there's very little sort of people doing it, but it's all sort of, all right, I'll go and watch a game for you, so you can be watching a game for one team one week and you'll go and watch it for somebody else the other week. But as I said, the teams doing an English Premier League, Celtic will have their own department where they'll actually look into it. I think I spoke to somebody recently who was in, I think it was last year, so it was before Celtic played Real Madrid, and they were, I think, they knew John Kennedy, so they were doing a wee tour and stuff like that, and he introduced to Ange. And it was quite open. They sort of brought them in, and it was after they played Real Madrid, and he spoke about a passage of play that they picked out that they wanted to focus on, and it was because the left winger, who is it? Thingy Junior.
Oh, Vinicius Junior.
Vinicius Junior. Supposedly they highlighted that he was slow to go and press, so they picked it up in the previous games for Real Madrid. So they'd worked on sort of a sequence of passes to try and get out when Celtic were trying to pass the ball out. So they'd sort of highlighted it. So they'd sort of picked it out for the scouting. They put it into the training. They showed them. So Angela showed this guy what we're doing in his training. This is how we put it into the passage of training. This is how we worked on it. He showed them the presentation to the players to say, right, when this happens, when we're getting pressed and we're in third, we get the ball to the right back because we think this is where he's slow to react.
There's a space.
Then it shows you actually in the game. Then it shows you actually in the game. When Celtic passed the ball right up the park and he should have scored, I think they ended up getting a corner for it. And it's just all the wee sequences that say we sort of, it's like 2% a difference that sometimes can make a difference for a goal or no goal, or knowing that somebody's going to do something or not going to do something. And that's what, when I'm at the game,
mega interesting.
And that's just the knowledge that these guys have got. The bit I find interesting, obviously I see it and I tell them, the teams about it, and I say, this is what I'm seeing. I see, he's slow, he's fast, he's good, he's bad, blah, blah, blah. Is they have to take that, then convert that into training throughout the week to make sure that message is consistent. Then they sort of take the game on Saturday. So the passages of play that you'll be working on, how we're going to work on a switch of play. We're going to try and focus on the left back because he's not that good, or the right back or it's the right back's not got a left foot, so we're going to focus really on his left foot, or he's slow. But for me, the bit that I'm baffled with, because I'm not a coach, is how do you take my information and convert it? Whereas you're looking at me going, how the hell do you watch a game and actually convert that? I'm the next bit. I'm going, how the hell do you actually read what I'm saying and actually convert that into a training session for it's Monday to Friday, then take it into Saturday, try and score a goal?
And then you think of the coach is then going to put that on the player, and then accept that the player is totally understanding that. They see, because players generally aren't going to go, I don't get that, Gaffer. They'll go, yep, and then they'll just go and do what they fucking usually do.
I know, and it's changed quite dramatically. Obviously you spoke about its open goal, and I've watched quite a lot of stuff with Wee in terms of when he was at Broomhill. And I think he spoke about how he would send like snippets of the previous game to some of the players on WhatsApp and stuff like that. So obviously he's going on, taking a clip saying, "Oh, this is what you've done really good. And see what you've done. See next week. See if you can do this." And you've done it 2 weeks ago. It's that level now of sort of commitment and communication and information that the players have to receive, and they're used to receiving. But you're right what you say. You can give players as much information as you want, and you speak to them about it. You can do it on the park. You can do it in presentations. You can do it in video clips. As soon as you walk on the park, some players just forget about it and just go and play.
just go and do what they do. Same team. I mean, like I'm saying, I'm doing the Wayne's fit, man. Fucking hell, they are, know, mate.
That's hard.
Well, Brian, you know what, mate? That's all our fucking 2 hours. I don't really want to keep you much longer, mate. That was excellent. That was really, really good, mate. I've gone for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed. I'll tell you what, mate, if you ever fancy coming back on just for a wee natter, just to talk about football and stuff like that, I'd like to have you back on, and we could just waffle away.
Anything.
Just
give me a shout in a couple of weeks or something. I love it. I've enjoyed it.
Cool, mate. Cool. Right, you're on social media, but you're not very active. Do you want to tell people where you're on social media? Nah, you're not going to tell people. Right, we'll leave it there then. Brian McColligan, thank you very much for your time. Good luck with everything, pal.
By the way, I'll send you my social media stuff because I'm going to have to get more active. So I'll send you my stuff.
Yeah, okay, good man. Right, Brian, all the best, pal.
Mate, speak soon.